Right now you may be tired. Tired of stretching every coin. Tired of waking to the same empty balance. Tired of wondering if the universe even hears you. You may have prayed for wealth, spoken affirmations until your throat grew dry, and yet still felt the chill of lack at dawn. But tonight will not be like other nights. For tonight I will lead you into the state where wealth is born, the inner sanctuary where money is not chased, but commanded. Before this night ends, you will discover that prosperity is not earned by effort, but received by assumption. You will learn how to prepare your mind before sleep, how to speak the hidden code that opens the gate of the subconscious, and how to feel riches as natural as the breath moving through your chest. No more pleading, no more waiting for luck. You will fall asleep tonight in wealth, and by divine law, the world will mirror your rest. I know the ache of those who work harder and harder, yet never feel richer. I know the fear of tomorrow's bills, the whisper that says, you'll never have enough. But I also know the secret that Scripture hides in plain sight, that sleep is not the end of effort, but the beginning of creation. While others toss and turn in worry, you will learn to drift into peace, to lay down every anxious thought, and let one sacred declaration rise in its place. And that declaration will move mountains you once thought were unshakable. For tonight, you will not only hear truth, you will practice it, you will prove it. Here is the journey we will walk together. First, I will reveal the exact words you must carry into sleep, words that conceive wealth in the womb of imagination. Then I will show you how to build the inner sanctuary, how to enter the twilight state where the conscious releases its grip and the subconscious receives its seed. You will learn how to clothe these words with feeling, so they may become flesh in your world. You will see why so many wake unchanged, and you will hold in your hands the secret that ensures success. Finally, I will guide you through a practice for tonight, a path so simple yet so sacred that once you walk it, you will never fall asleep the old way again. For sleep, dear friend, is not a closing of the eyes. It is the opening of heaven. It is the moment when the conscious lays down its tools, and the subconscious begins to build the world you will meet at dawn. As Scripture says, when deep sleep falleth upon men, then he openeth their ears, and sealeth their instruction. Sleep is not silence. Sleep is instruction. And tonight, as your body rests, your wealth will be born. Before you drift into sleep, take one small outer action that mirrors your inner decision. Subscribe to this channel, not as a routine click, but as a declaration that you're committed to attracting wealth. Let it be your first conscious act of alignment, a quiet, simple yes to the life you're now assuming. Every time you return, these teachings will water the seed you planted tonight. So go ahead, subscribe now, and let the universe see you're serious about living in abundance. There is a phrase so simple, most overlook it. A code hidden not in numbers or chance, but in the living language of being itself. It is the phrase, I am. 2 words. Yet within them lies the entire mechanism of creation. Every time you speak I am, you are not describing yourself. You are decreeing reality. You are giving the subconscious its marching orders. And what you join to those words becomes flesh in your world. Say I am poor, and your subconscious builds poverty's walls around you. Say I am afraid, and fear takes root in your path. But say I am wealthy, and wealth begins its journey toward you, crossing rivers, climbing hills, knocking at doors, until it stands before you. The secret is not in the repetition of words, but in the feeling they carry. For the subconscious is not moved by sound, it is moved by sensation. Neville taught that feeling is the secret. For what you feel as true, your subconscious accepts as law. So tonight, we will join these words, I am, with the feeling of wealth already possessed. And as you rest, the subconscious will seal that instruction, building in silence the world that matches your assumption. This is the hidden command. Not I will be rich someday, not I wish abundance would come, but I am wealth, I am abundance, I am provided for now. These are not affirmations whispered in hope. They are declarations spoken from the throne of consciousness. And before we begin, take a moment to declare your readiness to the universe. Go down to the comments right now and write, "I attract wealth." This isn't just a phrase, it's a signal, a sacred yes. The moment you type it, you align your energy with the state of having. So don't wait. Let the universe see your intention. Comment, "I attract wealth now," and step into the current of abundance. When you speak from "I am," you speak as the divine. You are not the beggar knocking at the gate. You are the builder of the gate itself. The world you see tomorrow morning will not be an accident. It will be a mirror, reflecting the seed you plant in the stillness before sleep. Plant fear, and you reap delay. Plant faith, and you reap provision. Plant wealth, and wealth must appear, not as a miracle from outside, but as a natural outpicturing of your inner decree. Tonight you will learn how to enter that holy stillness, to lay aside the noise of effort and descend into the silence where commands are heard. You will feel what it means to rest in the end fulfilled, and as you do, the seed will be planted in perfect soil, your subconscious mind. Think of the farmer who sows his field. He does not stand watch through the night, nor dig up the seed each morning to see if it grows. He trusts the process of darkness. He knows that in the unseen, the miracle is already underway. So it is with you. You need not strain or strive. Once the command is given, once the feeling is felt, your only task is rest, for the work is done. Say it now, softly, with breath more than voice. "I am wealth, I am supplied, I am free." Feel it ripple through your chest, not as a wish, but as a fact rediscovered. This is the hidden code. The phrase creation has obeyed since the beginning. The two words by which worlds are shaped, "I am." And tonight, as you drift between waking and sleep, you will speak them again, until the boundary between imagination and reality dissolves, and you awaken in the world your words have built. Now that you know the hidden code, we must prepare the inner sanctuary, the holy ground where the command will be heard. You cannot plant a seed in restless soil. The subconscious only receives when the surface mind is still. So before you speak your decree tonight, you must first quiet the outer world and descend into the silence where imagination awakens. Lie down. Let your hands rest gently upon your body. One over the heart, one over the belly, and allow your breath to soften. Inhale through the nose, as though drawing in assurance. Exhale through the mouth, as though releasing every anxious thought. The body will want to fidget. The mind will want to wander. Let them, they are children who settle once they see you are calm. You do not fight your thoughts. You outbreathe them. You do not chase silence. You fall into it the way dusk slides into night without effort. Now feel the weight of your body sinking into the bed. The mattress supports you as the earth supports the seed. You do not have to hold yourself up anymore. You can let go. Let go of the day's labor. Let go of the need to solve. Let go of the story that says abundance is far away. It was only a mist over still water, and mist when warmed by faith evaporates. As your breath deepens, imagine the room around you, dimming, not to darkness, but to golden twilight. The air grows warm and luminous. You are not in your bedroom anymore. You are in a sanctuary built of light. The walls hum with quiet power, their surface alive with subtle patterns. Waves, spirals, symbols older than language. Every flicker of gold in this room is a thought of provision. Every shimmer is a promise kept. Beneath you, the floor feels like smooth stone, cool yet comforting, etched with the words, "As within, so without. As above, so below. As I feel, so I become." You walk barefoot toward the center. There is no sound but your own heartbeat, and yet the space seems to echo with a sacred rhythm, a pulse that matches your breath. At the heart of the sanctuary stands a still pool, its surface so calm it mirrors the stars that burn unseen above. This is the pool of imagination, the surface of the subconscious mind. Whatever image you impress upon it in this state, it will reflect back into form. You kneel beside it. You see your reflection, not the face worn by effort, but the countenance of one who knows. Eyes steady, jaw relaxed, shoulders free of burden. As you look deeper, the reflection begins to shift. You see yourself standing in sunlight, wealthy not merely in coin, but in peace, confidence, freedom. You see yourself at ease with life, receiving with grace, giving without fear. Hold that image, let it breathe. Do not grasp it, let it hover like a candle flame. Steady, alive. This is who you truly are, the one who has, not the one who hopes to have. Now lift your gaze from the pool, across the room. A door has appeared, tall, golden, silent. Upon it, a single inscription glows. Enter only with feeling. Take a breath, and as you exhale, step forward. Your hand meets the door and warmth spreads through your palm, up your arm, into your chest, until your whole being hums with the certainty of abundance. You open the door. Beyond it lies a chamber bathed in soft light. At its center, a chair carved of luminous wood, neither old nor new, timeless, waiting. This is the throne of assumption. You do not kneel before it, you sit upon it. For in this realm, you are the creator. As you sit, a quiet voice within whispers, "Be still, and know that I am." It does not say you will be, it says I am. Rest here. Let those words settle like roots into your chest. Feel the difference between wishing and knowing, between wanting and being, between effort and rest. This is the state akin to sleep, not yet unconscious, not fully awake, the narrow door through which all creation enters. Here, the conscious mind releases its grip, and the subconscious opens its hands to receive. It is here, and only here, that the hidden code may be spoken. So before we speak it, let the silence deepen around you. Let the last fragments of resistance melt into the air. The room breathes with you. The stars lean close. The soil of imagination is ready. Now, in this sacred stillness, we will plant the seed. As you sit upon the throne, notice how everything around you seems to still. The golden air holds its breath. The pool behind you glows softly, reflecting your every feeling. And in this sacred stillness, the voice within you rises, not from the mouth, but from the deep well of being. It whispers the command, "I am wealth." Not "I will be," not "I wish to be," not "please make me," but "I am." Here, now, complete. Let those words roll through your chest like a wave. Each syllable, a current, each echo, a pulse of power that spreads through your body. Feel how your breath grows warm, how your heart begins to expand. You are not repeating a phrase, you are summoning a truth. Say it once more, slowly, as if tasting eternity. I am wealth. Now pause. Do not rush. Let silence stretch after the words, for it is in silence that the subconscious receives its seed. You may feel a warmth in your belly, a light in your chest, a tingling behind the eyes. That is the moment of conception. The command has entered the soil. The subconscious, like the earth, does not argue. It does not delay. It obeys. Now add the feeling, not hope, not strain, but the ease of one who already has. Imagine what that feels like. The quiet joy of waking up without worry. The soft smile as you open your bank app and see more than enough. The freedom to give generously, to walk lightly, to rest deeply. Let those sensations bloom through your body, from the heart, down the arms, into the fingertips, from the chest, down into the stomach, the hips, the legs, until your entire being hums with the feeling. I have everything I need. I am provided for. I am wealthy now. You may even feel your lips smile, not because you forced it, but because the body always mirrors belief. Now imagine, just for a moment, stepping outside into the world as this self. The air feels different. The day greets you differently. Strangers meet your eyes and smile. They can sense it, though they don't know why. You carry the fragrance of abundance. You are calm. You are generous. You are radiant. For you know, not think, not hope, but know, that money bends to your will, that wealth answers your call, that supply is not something you chase, it is something you are. Breathe in deeply. Let that knowing expand until it fills every corner of your awareness. You are not trying to feel rich. You are remembering that you already are. Now whisper once more, not from the lips, but from the soul. I am wealth. And as you say it, see the room around you grow brighter. The golden walls pulse with your declaration. The pool behind you ripples and begins to shimmer. From its surface rises an image, you in a life transformed. You see yourself signing documents with ease, receiving messages of opportunity, helping others without hesitation. You see travel, laughter, generosity, peace. You see a version of yourself so radiant that the world cannot help but rearrange to match it. Reach your hand toward that vision, and as your fingertips touch it, it dissolves into light and rushes back into your chest. You have taken it within. The seed is planted. Now rest your hands once more over your heart and belly. Feel the warmth there. That warmth is the life of the command. It grows now, silently, faithfully, while the outer world sleeps. You need not look for signs. You need not wonder when or how. The soil knows its work. The harvest is certain. So now we seal it. Say softly, it is done. Again slower, it is done. And with one last deep breath, let every muscle soften. Let every thought dissolve. Let every part of you rest in the end. You have planted. You have spoken. You have felt. Now rest as the one who already has. Sleep will take you soon, but it will not be ordinary sleep. It will be creation's cradle. You will drift through the door of dreams, and the subconscious will begin its holy labor. By the time you wake, something in the unseen will have shifted. For no word spoken in faith returns void. You will rise with a lighter heart, a clearer mind, and a world quietly rearranging itself to honor the decree you gave tonight. I am wealth. I am wealth. I am wealth. Now rest. Now let go. Now sleep. Now that the seed has been planted, we must nourish it with vision. For words, no matter how powerful, bloom only when clothed in imagination. To speak, I am wealth, is to sow. To see it, feel it, and walk within it, that is to water the garden of creation. Your subconscious speaks the language of pictures, of sensations, of living scenes. It does not respond to effort, it responds to experience. So now we will step beyond words into living vision. You will enter the world that matches your declaration, and as you move through it, the feeling of wealth will become as real as touch, as certain as breath. You do not have to force belief. You only have to experience the scene until it feels natural, until your senses accept it as familiar, until you can no longer tell if you are imagining or remembering. For imagination is memory of what is eternal, and what you rehearse in the unseen tonight will unfold in form when you wake. So keep your body still. Let your breath remain soft and steady. Your eyes may be closed, but within, a greater light begins to dawn. You are about to walk through the door you opened with your words. The world of wealth awaits you, not as fantasy, but as homecoming. You will see it, touch it, dwell in it. You will walk streets paved with ease, step into rooms filled with peace, and hold in your hands the evidence of abundance. Now let your inner eyes open, and follow my voice as we journey through the land of fulfillment. The outer world may sleep, but the inner world awakens, and what is real within must soon appear without. Come, let us walk now into the first vision. Close your eyes. Let the weight of the body settle as if warm sand were gently pouring over you from head to toe. Your jaw softens. The tongue rests like a feather on the floor of your mouth. Shoulders melt, chest loosens, belly releases, hips sink, legs grow heavy and pleasantly warm. Feel the mattress quietly holding you as if the earth itself were cradling you with perfect care. Breathe in through the nose, a slow, quiet sip of air. Exhale out through the mouth, longer than the inhale. Again, inhale and exhale. Every breath spreads a calm brightness through you. With each exhale, the day fades. With each inhale, the inner world grows vivid. The outer eyes are closed, but the inner eyes begin to open. You are safe, you are guided, you are carried. There is a gentle hum in the quiet, a soft electricity of possibility. You let it move through your hands, through your heart, up into the crown of your head, down the spine. It feels like velvet night, with stars just beyond the skin. In this softness, say inside your mind, in your own voice, I am wealth. Let the words sink like a pebble into a still lake. Hear the little ring it makes as it touches the water of your being. Watch the circles widen, touching every part of you. Again, quietly, I am wealth. Let it be true for just this moment. Let it be the most natural sentence in the world. Now, without effort, a scene rises. It feels like remembering, not pretending. You are waking in the morning as the wealthy, free version of you. The room is filled with a gold, whispering light that slips through linen curtains. The sheets against your skin are cool and expensive, fine cotton with that particular crispness that only high thread count brings. Your pillow holds you at the perfect angle. The air carries a note of something gentle, maybe a hint of fresh gardenia from a vase across the room, maybe the faint, clean scent of polished wood warmed by sun. Before you even open your eyes, you notice the feeling in your body, rested, unhurried, a kind of easy fullness in the chest, a soft glow in the belly. You stretch like a cat who owns the day. There is no rush anywhere in the universe. Time has become your servant. You exhale, and the exhale itself feels wealthy. Your phone rests on the nightstand, weighty and cool to the touch. You lift it, and it fits the hand in that familiar way. The screen wakes. There are notifications, a few messages of congratulations, a simple calendar reminder that reads, lunch celebration. You open your banking app, not with tension, but with the calm curiosity of someone who already knows the tone of the news. The numbers that greet you are deliciously larger than they were. Commas sitting like little jewels. Available balances that feel like broad open fields. You don't count, you feel. The sensation is relief without effort. Ease, safety, permission. Your chest warms. You smile. The body recognizes this as home. Silently, in first person, let the inner words float up. I am wealth. Money answers me with ease. I am fully supplied. Notice how your breath changes as you say it. Notice how your shoulders drop another inch. You are not pushing. You are allowing. Wealth here is not a fight. It is a temperature. And you're already warmed by it. You sit up and place your feet on the floor. The rug is dense and soft under your soles. As you stand, there's a quiet strength in your legs. Grounded, certain. Crossing the room, you pass a mirror. You catch a glimpse of yourself. The eyes are bright. There is space between your thoughts. Your posture says without a word, I am safe, I belong, I have more than enough. You grin at yourself, not from ego, but from gratitude. In the bathroom, the tap turns with a smooth, precise click. Cool water runs over your hands. There is that bright, clean scent of your favorite soap. Even the towels feel prosperous, thick loops, heavy and kind. You slip on the clothes you love, fabrics that glide against the skin, colors that feel like they were chosen by the morning light itself. The fit is perfect. Nothing pinches, nothing asks. You dress like someone who has already decided the day is good. You wear ease the way some wear cologne. As you walk to the kitchen, the house speaks, quiet, generous spaces. Art that means something to you, plants stretching happily toward the sun. The kitchen greets you with warmth and possibility. You grind fresh coffee beans, and the aroma blossoms in the air. Rich, chocolatey, a little citrus at the edges. The kettle murmurs. You pour slowly, and the steam rises like a soft white ribbon. You hold the mug with both hands and let the heat sit under your fingers. First sip. It is exactly right. A small sigh escapes. And that sigh is wealth speaking. Phone buzz. A message from someone you respect. Proud of you, knew this would turn. Another from a client or partner, transfer sent. Check your account. You glance only briefly, not to grasp, but to appreciate. A quiet inner thank you expands in your chest. You steady your breath and let gratitude flow outward. Not a performance, but a tangible, warm cloud that fills the room. You feel how that gratitude is practical, how it subtly rearranges the air around your life. You step outside for a moment. The day is bright but kind. The sky is large and full of promise. You feel the weight of keys in your hand, sleek, satisfying. Maybe you walk to your car, doors unlock with that solid, confident thud, or maybe a driver waits who knows your name. Either way, the movement is smooth, the seat holds you, the road unfolds. You let yourself be carried through a city that today seems to be conspiring on your behalf. Signals are green, crosswalks open. The rhythm matches your breath. On the way, you pass a cafe. You remember the barista who once slipped you an extra pastry on a hard day. Today you stop, and the bell above the door chimes like a tiny laugh. They greet you by name. You pay for your drink and quietly pick up the tab for the next 3 customers. No announcement, just an easy, private joy. The register beeps, the barista looks up, surprised. Are you sure? You nod. Absolutely. That word, absolutely, tastes like abundance. It lands in your body and sits there, smiling. As you leave, you notice the lightness in your step. Giving widened the space inside you. Money is not a wall, it is a river. You are not a dam, you are the bank that shapes its flow. Back in the car, your phone lights again. A note from your accountant. Quick update. Tax planning saved you more than expected. Another message, deposit received. Your chest feels that small pleasurable lift that used to be rare and is now familiar. There is no shock anymore, just a deep, gracious yes. Quietly, you let the inner sentence form. I prosper everywhere I go. Feel the words settle like sunlight on your skin. Now the day opens. You arrive at a beautiful, light-filled space. A studio, an office, a meeting lounge with warm wood and glass that invites the sky in. People are glad you're here. You sense it in how their faces soften, in how their shoulders drop when you enter. It isn't about status. It's about the certainty you radiate, the way your presence says, there is enough, we will create more, and will enjoy doing it. A partner extends a hand. The handshake is warm and whole. Paperwork appears, thick, clean stock that whispers when you turn it. Pens glide with that faintly scratchy luxury that fine points have on good paper. You sign your name, and the motion feels ceremonial and simple, like lighting a candle. Done. A little while later, an email pings, contract executed, funds released. There is a microsecond when the old, you might have gasped, that habit is gone. Now you smile and nod to yourself. Like a musician pleased with a well-tuned note, you feel your ribcage expand, a comfortable fullness. You send a voice note to someone you love. It's done. Thank you for believing. Hearing your own voice, calm and buoyant, pleases you. You are proud, not the kind that stands on a chair, but the kind that quietly adds another chair, so others can sit. Later, you step out into the noon light. You walk through streets that belong to you, not on paper, but in feeling. You browse a bookstore. You run a finger along spines, linen, leather, smooth dust jackets. You choose 3 without counting. At checkout, the card passes with a gentle tone and no thought. Your mind is free to notice the smile of the cashier, the way the sunlight makes a glacier of the marble countertop, the subtle fragrance of a candle burning somewhere nearby, amber and fig, maybe, or cedar and smoke. On the sidewalk, a breeze lifts your hair and runs cool fingers across your temples. You pass someone whose eyes reveal a familiar worry, the old weight you once carried like a stone under your heart. Your hand finds a bill folded in your pocket. You do not hesitate. You press it into their palm with a steady look that says, you are not alone. The money leaves your pocket and enters their future. And the odd thing is, you feel richer. Not morally but physically, like the world widened by a half step in every direction. The river moved, and you moved with it. News arrives through the afternoon in appetizing drops. A refund higher than expected. A royalty payment posted. A passive income deposit, steady as a heartbeat. A friend texts, "We landed the feature payment next week." You breathe and let your nervous system absorb the truth. Money is consistent. It comes, it stays, it circulates, and it returns multiplied. You let that sentence become a bodily fact. Shoulders open, jaw loose, belly warm. You can feel how quickly your system learns safety when you teach it with sensation. As the sun leans west, you return home. The entry holds that gentle hush that good homes have, the quiet of a place that knows you. You set your things down on a table that feels like it has a story. In the living room, the light has grown honeyed. You put on music, something round and golden that seems to pour from the speakers like syrup. You settle into your favorite chair. The fabric holds you. The cushion gives and then supports. On the table beside you lies a beautiful notebook, unlined, thick paper that invites a slow pen. You open it. The pen glides. You do not write a wish list. You write thank yous. Thank you for the ease in my chest. Thank you for numbers that meant peace. Thank you for the laughter at lunch. Thank you for the chance to give quietly. Thank you for the river. You reach into a drawer and take out a small stack of crisp bills. The paper has its own smell, a mix of fiber and ink and a hint of metal from change that once shared the space. You fan them without counting. You like the sound. You like the weight. You let your fingertips read them like braille for abundance. You place them back and close the drawer, not to hide, but to bless. Money. Rest here. Come and go freely. Evening comes on in slow silver. You prepare a simple meal, or have one brought. Fresh, clean flavors that feel like kindness to your body. You chew slowly. You taste. You let your system register the reality, I am truly physically supported. You speak softly to the room, to no one, and to everyone. Thank you. The walls hear, the floor hears, the future hears. In your chest, something clicks like a lock opening. Night draws a velvet curtain. You move toward the bedroom. The sheets have been turned down. The bedside lamp paints an amber circle on the wall. You place your phone face down. You stretch your arms out wide, and then gather them back to your heart, as if you were drawing the day into a small warm jewel to keep. You lie down. The mattress remembers you. The pillow cups your head just so. Your exhale is a small boat leaving the shore. In this softness, let the most important feeling return, the ease of having, not the adrenaline of chasing. The ease of having. Feel how having has a temperature warmer than room temperature, but not hot. Feel how having has a sound, quiet like a cat's purr against your ribs. Feel how having has a weight, light in the limbs, heavy in the bones, grounded and unshakable. Let your body memorize it. Now as your edges blur and the border of sleep approaches, whisper inside in first person, slow and tender. I am wealth. I am safe. I am supplied. Money serves me while I rest. My life overflows in ways that bless others. And then feel how the sentences stop being words and start being weather, ambient and steady. You are not repeating. You are soaking. The inner scene brightens one more time. As you drift, you see next week's calendar, gently fattening with opportunities that feel like play. You see an email subject line, approved. You see a contact's name lighting up your phone with a cheerful urgency that means yes. You see a message from your future self. Keep doing exactly this. You see numbers that felt fantasy last year, but now feel like a home address you could say in your sleep. You let it all dissolve into one sensation, warmth in the chest, vastness behind the eyes, a softness around the mouth, a heaviness in the feet. You rest inside the clear, knowing that money is not outside you. It is a mirror of the state you are in now. And this state, this gentle, full, generous state, is the one you carry across the gate of sleep. As you drift, there is a final gift. A memory rises from the future. Someone you helped earlier in the day sends a note. Your kindness changed everything. You read it in your mind, and a quiet cellular joy spreads through you, the kind that doesn't need to be posted or praised. You simply know you are part of the river's intelligence. You belong to the flow. The breath is slow. The world is soft. Inside your mind, one sentence glows like a coal that will keep its heat all night long. I am wealth. Let it be the last thing you know before sleep takes you. Let the subconscious receive it like a seed tucked into perfect soil. It will work while you rest. It will build the bridge while you dream. You do not have to watch. You do not have to help. You have already given the command. Sink deeper, warm, safe, supplied. I am wealth. Before you drift into sleep, take one small outer action that mirrors your inner decision. Subscribe to this channel not as a routine click, but as a declaration that you're committed to attracting wealth. Let it be your first conscious act of alignment, a quiet, simple yes to the life you're now assuming. Every time you return, these teachings will water the seed you planted tonight. So go ahead, subscribe now, and let the universe see you're serious about living in abundance. Close your eyes and let the room fade into a soft blur at the edges. Your jaw loosens, the tongue rests quietly. The space behind your eyes feels wide and spacious, like a dark sky with friendly stars. Shoulders drop. The back lengthens. Hips feel heavy and grounded. Knees and ankles release. Your hands warm gently. Your feet hum with a faint, reassuring weight. Breathe in through the nose, slow and cool. Breathe out through the mouth, longer, warmer. A quiet ribbon of air. Again, inhale, exhale. With each breath, you feel yourself moving from surface to depth, from noise to signal, from thinking to knowing. There is a subtle glow in your chest, as if a small ember of certainty has been placed there. It doesn't shout, it radiates. As you breathe, it spreads to your ribs, your belly, your spine, and up behind your heart. In that glow, let a simple sentence float up in your own voice, private and calm. I am supplied. Notice how your shoulders relax one more degree. Let it come again. I am supplied. Not a wish, not a reach, an atmosphere. You are breathing air that already knows how to support you. A scene presents itself as naturally as memory. Evening has arrived, the kind of evening that has edges of gold. You are in a study that feels like the inside of a good thought. Warm wood, clear lines, everything chosen, nothing cluttered. A low lamp makes a pool of amber light across your desk. When you sit, the chair welcomes your weight with a quiet, confident creak. On the desk, a leather blotter, a fine point pen, and a beautiful notebook with thick, soft paper that makes you want to write slowly. You open your banking app. There's no jolt, just a steady, delicious confirmation. Numbers that breathe, balances that feel like open fields under a wide sky. You take in the commas the way a farmer takes in rain clouds. The notification banner at the top reads, "Incoming wire received." Another follows, "Royalty payment posted." Your body answers with a low physical yes, ribs expanding, breath deepening, a small warmth opening in the solar plexus like sunlight across water. You don't count, you let the feeling count for you. This is what having feels like in actual muscles and bone, unhurried, grounded, kind. You flip your notebook open and write the date. Your pen glides. You write 3 lines. Not a wish list, a truth list. Income received with ease. Projects complete themselves beautifully. Money circulates freely and returns multiplied. The ink dries with a soft sheen. As you look at the words, they feel less like plans and more like weather reports. Accurate, neutral, inevitable. Your phone hums lightly. A message appears from your banker. Your private client upgrades are ready. A brief visit tomorrow. The tone is warm, almost friendly. You text back. Perfect. See you at 10. Another message lights up from a partner. Signed and sent. Funds release in the morning. You sip a glass of water, and it tastes like relief. Cool, simple, clean. There is no reach in you anymore. You live in the end. The world is catching up to your posture. From the study window, you can see a sliver of city. You decide to step outside. The hallway is quiet, the floor firm under your feet. At the door, your jacket feels like it was designed by the evening air itself. Light, tailored, easy, across the shoulders. The elevator is waiting as if it heard your thought. On the street, everything aligns with your pace. The crosswalk goes white just as you arrive. The traffic breathes with you. You move through the city like a note moving through music, supported by what surrounds you. You stop at a small grocery, the one that smells faintly of fresh basil and warm bread. A cashier with tired eyes rings up a simple basket. Berries, good olive oil, a loaf still crackling from the oven. You notice the person behind you counting cash twice, their face pinched in that old way you remember from your past. Without performance, you say to the cashier, "Put theirs on mine." The register chirps. The tired eyes brighten. The person behind you blinks and stammers, "Thank you," and in your chest something expands 2 sizes. Giving doesn't subtract from you. It changes your shape. The river proves itself by flowing. Back home, twilight has turned the walls into a soft canvas. You set the berries in a bowl, tear a piece of bread, and dip it, enjoying the way the crust resists and then yields. You taste. Your body recognizes care. You move to the desk again, because there is one more thing to do, an inner thing that feels deliciously practical. You close your eyes, and in your mind you walk down a short corridor to a door you know well. The door is heavy, elegant, and the handle is cool in your palm. When you turn it, there is a satisfying weight in the mechanism. The door swings inward to a room that is not a room but a chamber of clarity. Some call it imagination. You know it as the treasury. It is quiet in here, but not empty. Shelves hold neat stacks of envelopes. Each envelope contains a scene, a decree, a finished outcome that once lived only as a thought. You walk to a new stack labeled "Paid in Full." You lift one envelope. It has your name on the front in the handwriting of someone who loves you. Inside is a letter that begins, "We're happy to confirm your account now reflects a zero balance." The paper is thick, the embossing crisp under your thumb. You feel the weight of those words, zero balance. The absence of weight is a weight of its own, a lightness that rests, not a lightness that floats away. You slide that envelope into a tray labeled "Completed." And when you place it there, a small chime sounds, silver, clean. Your nervous system files the sensation under normal. You move to a shelf labeled automatic. Here, envelopes hum softly like beehives. Inside each, a deposit occurs on its own rhythm. Rental income, subscriber payments, dividends, licenses, affiliate flows, each one a stream with its own pleasant sound. You put 2 fingertips lightly to the envelopes and sense the cadence of each, steady, steady, generous, steady. You say the simplest sentence, "Keep going." The hum acknowledges you. In the treasury room, there is also a window, and beyond it is a landscape you've chosen, a hill with trees like green candles, a path that curves toward a small body of water holding the sky. You step through the window as if passing through a warm sheet of rain and find yourself walking that path. Grass brushes your ankles. Birds say small clever things to one another. The water is flat as a sheet of glass. You kneel and touch it. The surface gives and coolness climbs your fingers. In the reflection you see your own face, the lines softer, the eyes richer, the mouth at home. You say to the reflection without moving your lips, "I trust you." The reflection nods, and something in you believes it entirely. When you stand, someone approaches at the pace of friendship. It's the version of you from 6 months ahead. They sit beside you on a smooth stone. No lecture, just a simple report in your own voice, with a tone you've always wanted to hear from yourself, steady and quietly delighted. It kept flowing, they say. It got easier, and then easier again. You gave more. The work simplified, the right people arrived because you stopped reaching and started receiving. You slept like a door, closing gently each night. Do this exact thing again tonight. You walk back through the window and into the treasury room. On a side table rests a small brass stamp with a handle worn smooth. Next to it, a pad of red wax. You heat the wax with a match that smells faintly of pine. Let a drop fall onto the flap of a fresh envelope labeled Abundance General and press the stamp down. When you lift it, a seal glows, a small circle with the words already. So inside, the act pleases some ancient part of you that adores ceremony. You slide the envelope into a slot, and you hear it travel on some invisible belt to wherever it needs to be. You don't follow it. You don't need to. You are the one who sealed it. The system is faithful. Your phone, back in the physical room, murmurs again. An email subject line is visible, without unlocking the screen. Approved. Funds set to release. The words land like a feather on your chest, and somehow also like a key turning. You breathe and let their softness and certainty spread along your collarbones, down your arms, out through your fingertips. You realize your body is learning a language. This language of quiet, yes, and it is already fluent. Night asks you to come closer. You dim the lamp until the room is the color of warm tea. You tidy the desk because you respect your morning self. You walk to the bedroom and pull the sheets back. They make that small wave sound you love. Sitting on the edge of the bed, you let your spine stack, head over heart, heart over pelvis. You place a hand on your chest and one on your belly. Your hands are warm because circulation is good when worry has been subtracted from the equation. You close your eyes and rehearse not a story, but a feeling. You choose one sensation from the day that tasted like wealth. The cashier's surprise, turning to relief. The tone of the email, announcing approval. The silky weight of your pen as it wrote the words, returns multiplied. Pick one and replay it, not with words, but with texture, temperature, sound. From that feeling, your mind drifts into tomorrow morning with the ease of a boat pushed by a gentle current. You wake before the alarm because rest was complete. Light enters in a soft stripe across the duvet. Your phone shows a cluster of deposits with green plus signs. A message from your banker, welcome to the new tier. Your cards and benefits are ready for pickup. You text back a single word. Grateful. The word fits your mouth like a well-made spoon. You picture yourself walking into the bank lobby that smells faintly of paper and polished stone. The manager recognizes you and rises with an easy smile. You are led to a quiet room where a folder waits, neatly arranged. You sign 2 pages. The pen has that velvet resistance on heavy stock. A card slides across to you. Sleek, weighty. You'll enjoy the concierge team, they say. You feel no surge of status, just a feeling of the environment catching up to who you've already been inside. On your way out, you stop at the coffee station. The machine hisses softly. The crema forms a ring of gold at the rim. You take a sip and taste competence. The vision slides into another. You are at a long table with a few collaborators. The room is bright without glare. Someone laughs easily because the meeting is a conversation, not a contest. You outline a project in 6 sentences because that's all it needs. Heads nod. Tasks distribute themselves to the right hands. A calendar invite pings with a realistic date that somehow still feels generous. The simplest measure lands in your body. Your neck remains loose through the entire meeting. That is what abundance feels like. Unclenched time inside unclenched muscle. The scene tilts forward again, and it's afternoon. You're in a cab, or your own car, and your phone vibrates with polite regularity. Confirmation, deposit, scheduling, thank you received. Each small tone is a bell in a temple that belongs to you. You glance out the window, and the city appears freshly washed. Even the shadows feel supportive. You think, money is polite when I am calm. And because you are calm, money is very, very polite. Evening returns, different from the last, but with the same deep hum of sufficiency. You're home again. Shoes off. A candle is lit, its scent soft and intelligent, something like sandalwood and citrus. You sit at the table and pull your notebook close. On a new page, you write names. People you want to surprise this month. A family member. A friend pursuing a brave thing. A local program that turns rigid no's into possible yes. For people whose faces look like yours and whose pasts rhyme with yours. You set numbers next to each name, not numbers from strain, numbers from joy. The act alone makes your breath long and even. You text one person a question. Humor me with your PayPal. A minute later, wait. What? You send the amount with a single heart. The room seems to respond. The flame steadies, the air sweetens a little, or maybe that's just the sensation of you fitting exactly into your own life. As night deepens, you return once more to the corridor in your mind and open the treasury door. It greets you like a friend who never forgets your face. You collect 3 envelopes from the automatic shelf and place them into the completed tray. You take 2 from the paid in full stack and add them as well. You don't read them this time. You don't need proof. The act is the proof. You place your palm over the tray and feel a mild magnetic warmth, as if results were not words on paper, but a temperature in the air. Before you leave, you notice a small drawer you haven't opened in a while. Inside is a polished stone, worn smooth on both sides. When you hold it, a sentence rises like steam. I am the source of the signal. Everything else is the echo. You slip the stone into your pocket and it disappears, or maybe it dissolves into you. Either way, you feel slightly heavier in the most pleasant way, weighted with your own authority. Back in bed, the sheets take you in again. You tuck one foot under the coolness and let the other breathe. Your breath is slow enough to count and still too delicious to count. Thoughts come like gentle birds and depart like gentle birds. You don't chase any of them. You keep only the feeling that has become familiar, the settled ease of a life already answered. In that ease, you give the command without force, the way a king might gesture rather than raise his voice. I am supplied while I sleep. I am wealthy without effort. Money obeys my calm. You can feel the subconscious open like rich soil receiving rain. You do not dig. You do not measure. You plant the sensation and let earth do what earth knows. Your hands rest palm down on the blankets, warm and sure. Your face softens at the corners. The room seems to lean toward you in kindness. In the final inches before sleep, a simple flash arrives from tomorrow. A screen with a deposit that begins with a number you once would have stared at. You don't stare, you nod. A message from a stranger says, your work solved a problem I've had for years. You don't deflect, you accept. A voice, not outside, but inside, says, keep the water moving. You see yourself answer by giving, by saving, by investing, by buying a bouquet of ridiculous peonies, for no reason but fragrance. The river delights in you. Now let the narrative go and keep only the state. Keep the temperature, the weight, the sound of yes in your body. Keep the sentence like a coal that will glow even when you forget. There's a fire. I am supplied. The ember in your chest is steady, friendly, faithful. It knows what to do with the night. It will write instructions in the dark while you rest. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. The edges blur. The center warms. The last thing you feel is the softness of having. The last thing you know is the certainty of being. And the last thing you say inside. Barely a whisper, already half a dream. I am supplied. Close your eyes and let the breath choose the rhythm. In through the nose, slow and cool, out through the mouth. Longer and softer, as if you're fogging a window. Again, inhale and feel the back of the ribs widen. Exhale and feel your shoulders melt one notch lower. Your tongue rests on the floor of your mouth, your brow smooths. The space behind your eyes turns into a wide, dark sky, where thoughts drift like harmless birds. Nothing to do, nothing to fix, only to feel. A subtle warmth gathers in the center of your chest, like a small ember under your sternum. Each breath feeds it until it glows steady, golden, friendly. In that glow, let a quiet sentence arrive in your own voice. I am provided for. Say it inwardly, not like a wish, but like a description of weather. True, neutral, dependable. Notice how your belly softens at those words. Again, I am provided for. The body answers with a calm yes. The scene forms by itself. You are at the edge of the sea just before sunrise. The air smells like salt and new beginnings. A wooden pier runs straight out into water that looks like poured glass. Your shoes make a soft rhythm on the boards as you walk. The horizon is a thin line of peach and silver. As you breathe, a ferry pulls up. Quiet, clean, inevitable. The crew nods like old friends. You step aboard and the deck hums with that gentle engine sound. That means you're being carried. Inside the ferry, there's a bright, warm cabin with windows from floor to ceiling. You take a seat by the glass. The cushion receives your weight perfectly. A small table waits with a ceramic mug already warm between your hands. You sip, and it tastes like clarity. On the table lies a simple leather folio with your initials pressed into the corner. You open it to find a single page titled Today's Arrivals. It lists deposits and gifts the way a farmer might list rainfall. Licensing received, subscription streams received, consulting received, dividend posted, refund cleared, gratitude overflowing. The paper itself feels expensive and kind, like it was made to carry good news. Your entire torso opens a little wider to make room for the ease of it. The ferry glides. The water slides past like silk. In that moving quiet, you take a pen and place a single check mark next to each line. Not tallying, not hustling, acknowledging. Every check mark is a micro breath of relief. Your nervous system learns a new baseline. This is normal. The ferry docks at a small island. When you step onto the pier, a path of smooth stones invites you toward a cluster of white buildings with open doors and sunlit hallways. You walk at the pace of trust. The first doorway leads to a calm lobby that smells faintly of citrus and paper. A person at a desk smiles like someone who's been expecting you. No forms, no friction. They gesture to a short corridor. Private room, all set, they say, as if you reserved comfort on purpose. The room is light and uncluttered. A round table holds a tidy stack of envelopes, each stamped with a slender crescent of gold. You sit, your body knows this chair. On the top envelope, in your own familiar handwriting, you read, Resolved. You break the seal. Inside, a letter reads, We're pleased to confirm your account. Shows a zero balance. Thank you for being with us. The words land in your chest like sunlight on a lake, warm, wide, uncomplicated. Behind the words you can feel a click. Something in your inner scaffolding, locking into place, paid in full, and the phrase feels like a texture you can rest against. Another envelope. Overpayment credit issued. You smile, because abundance returns even where you forgot you'd given. You place both letters in a wooden tray marked completed, and the tiniest bell rings, silver clear, as if the room itself is celebrating your nervous system, learning this new story. A second stack of envelopes hums softly, like beehives at ease. These are automatic. You open one at random and simply feel the cadence. Monthly rental flow, steady, quarterly dividend, generous, daily micro. Sales, playful, annual royalty, surprising in the best way. You don't even need the amounts. Your body is absorbing the rhythm. You place your palm over the stack and say inwardly, keep flowing. The hum agrees. You stand and the scene shifts to a sunlit street. A bakery releases warm air that smells like butter and relief. You duck in, order a loaf that crackles when touched, and pay with a card that feels cool and weighty. The payment tone is soft and polite. You tip as if tipping were a language you speak fluently. The person behind the counter lights up, and their smile lands in your chest like a deposit. You think giving is my favorite proof that I have. The thought is not a moral, it's a sensation expansion under the ribs, freedom between the shoulder blades. Back outside, you follow the street to a small stone building with a bronze plate, the House of Revision. You enter, and the air is cool, not cold, crisp, not sharp. A table in the middle of the room holds a single book bound in dark blue cloth. On the spine, Old Money Stories Rewrite. You open it, and a scene rises. The first time you felt small around money. The first time a bill made your stomach clench. The first time you equated worth with numbers. You don't watch it. You step into it. You feel the room, the voices, the old tightness. Then, with the kindest authority, you change it. You hear a different sentence said in a calm, loving tone. You're okay. We're okay. Money is a river, and rivers find their way. You watch your younger self receive that new line. Their shoulders drop. The knot loosens. You sign the bottom of the scene, revised. As the ink dries, the old charge dissolves like sugar in warm tea. Your present breath deepens on its own. You close the book, and the cover glows for a heartbeat. Work completed. Another door opens onto a courtyard full of green. A long table is set under trees that filter the light into coins scattered on the ground. Around the table sit versions of you from different chapters and timelines. The you who worried, the you who hustled, the you who gave even when you felt small, the you who finally rested. They all look at you with acceptance, not judgment. You take your seat at the head, not because you are above them, but because you have integrated them. You raise a glass of water and say, "Thank you for getting us here." They all nod, and one by one, they hand you small tokens. The hustler hands you discipline, but without panic. The warrior hands you vigilance, but without fear. The generous one hands you open palms, now overflowing. You pocket these tokens. They feel like tools, light and precise. Your current body relaxes more deeply into the chair. You are not abandoning any version of you. You are promoting them, assigning them kind jobs in a well-run inner treasury. From the courtyard, a staircase curves down into a vault that is less like a bank and more like a sanctuary. The air is quiet in a way that makes you stand a little taller. Along the walls, safe deposit drawers made of warm wood and brushed brass. Each drawer has a small label: home, travel, savings, investments, giving, surprises. You take a slender key from your pocket. It's the kind of key that fits only one lock in the universe. You slide it into savings. Click. Inside the drawer, a ledger with thick pages and a fountain pen already filled. You do not write wishes. You record reality the way a gardener notes what sprouted. Added with ease, you write, protected with wisdom, growing while I sleep. As you finish the line, you feel something very specific. Your lower back, where money fear likes to live, releases another layer of tension. That is what safety feels like in the body. You open investments. Instead of numbers, you find small cards that represent clear, simple positions. You touch each steady, patient, compounding. You don't chase anything. You choose clearly and close the drawer. Giving opens like a window. Inside are envelopes, pre-addressed to people and projects that matter to you. You choose 3 at random. Write amounts that make your chest feel generous and grounded. Never performative, always true. And seal them with a thumbprint, a gesture of intimacy and consent. You place them in a brass outbox. Somewhere, on some timeline, hands you love are opening those envelopes. Their relief is a mirror, your sufficiency reflecting as their ease. When you return to the staircase, you realize there's a door you haven't tried before. It's unmarked, simple. You open it and find yourself in a studio with enormous windows that let the sky come all the way inside. This is where your work lives. Not the grind, the gift. Tables hold tools that feel good in your hands. Keyboards with just right travel paper that loves ink, lenses that love light, whiteboards that invite clean thinking. A wall displays messages from people your work has helped. They read like pure gratitude, no idolizing, no grasping. Your course finally made this click. Your product solved a problem in a kind way. Your writing made me brave. You touch the notes and feel a current value flows out. Money flows in, impact flows both ways. You understand something simple and permanent. Money is the echo. Your gift is the voice. When the voice is clear and kind, the echo is rich and polite. A calendar on the desk holds only what matters. Your days feel like measured steps on a beautiful path, not a sprint on hot pavement. You see your future self walk in, rested and bright. They place a small card in your palm. On it, one sentence, simpler still. You grin because you know this is the lever that multiplies everything you love. Less drag, more flow. You step back out into the island air. It's late afternoon now. The light has that honeyed tilt that makes even sidewalks look like blessings. Your phone vibrates in your pocket with the most courteous rhythm. A deposit here, a thank you there. A calendar confirmation. A transfer receipt. Each tone is a temple bell you've heard in your favorite dream. You do not chase the sound. You walk in time with it. You pass a small boutique where the owner is turning the sign from open to closed. Something gentle nudges you. You step in anyway, and the owner laughs. For you still open, they say. You buy a little gift for someone you haven't surprised in a while. It's simple and perfect. At the register, you add a tip that makes the owner's eyes shine. You feel the blessing ricochet through the room. Money is delighted to move through you. The river exults when the banks are generous. Dusk slides into blue. You walk back to the ferry. On the return ride, the water darkens to velvet, and the stars come on one by one like agreements being signed. You sit where you sat in the morning, but you are not the same. Or rather, you are more yourself than you've ever been. You open the folio once more. Tonight's page reads, "Close in gratitude." You write 3 lines, simple as breath. I receive easily. I distribute joyfully. I rest completely. The pen glides, and a warmth spreads from your sternum to your shoulders, like a shawl woven from relief. The ferry docks, you step onto the original pier. The night air tastes clean. Home is a short, kind walk away. Your door opens with that soft latch sound you love. You put the gift on a side table, the bread on the counter, the folio on your desk. You wash your hands, and the warm water feels like a blessing earned by existing. You dim the lights until your rooms turn the color of patience. In bed, the sheets are cool and intelligent. Your spine lines up without trying. One hand rests over your heart, one over your belly. The ember in your chest is no longer small. It's a steady coal that will keep its heat while you forget it's there. You replay one sensation from your day on the island. Not the facts, the feeling. The crisp break of wax under your thumb on the resolved envelope. The silver bell, when you placed letters incompleted. The smiling eyes of a barista when your tip arrived. The bones, deep quiet in the vault. Choose one and stretch it across your whole body like a blanket. From that feeling, let a final image arrive. Your banking screen early tomorrow, with green plus signs that don't feel like surprises, only confirmations. Your calendar with white space that feels like wealth in a different currency. A message from someone you helped, saying, "I can breathe again." Your reply is light and true. "Me too." Now release all pictures and keep only the state. Keep the temperature of calm affluence, the weight of certainty, the sound of polite yes. Let the most essential words float once more through your internal sky and sink gently into the soil of your subconscious. I am provided for. I am wealthy while I sleep. Money obeys my peace. Feel how those sentences are not shouted spells, but natural descriptions of the atmosphere you've created inside. The subconscious hears tone, not volume. Your tone is settled, kind, inevitable. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. Each exhale lengthens the edges of your rest until they touch the edges of the night. Your jaw is soft. Your eyes are heavy in that perfect way. The ember glows on its own. You do not need to hold any of this, the law will hold it for you. As you cross the last, delicious inches into sleep, something quiet inside places a seal on tonight's command. The seal says, already so. And it is. Let your next inhale be quieter than the last, as if you don't want to disturb a lake at night. Let your exhale lengthen like a silk ribbon released from your hand. Jaw soft, tongue relaxed. The small muscles around the eyes loosen. The back of the neck lengthens as the head tilts a hair toward comfort. With each breath, you step one pace closer to the place where thoughts become gentle and the body remembers how to trust itself. A low, distant hum reaches you. The honest sound of movement carrying you somewhere you already chose. When you open your inner eyes, you are standing on a platform, washed in warm amber light. The clock high above is unhurried. Along the edge of the platform, a midnight blue train waits. Its brass handrails glow. The doors slide open with a courteous sigh, as if the train has been expecting you. You step in. The air is calm and smells faintly of cedar and clean linen. Your compartment is simple and perfect. A wide berth dressed in crisp sheets, a window that turns the night into velvet, a small table set with a fountain pen, and a single sheet of thick paper. On the paper, one sentence already printed in deep blue ink. While I rest, all that concerns me is handled in harmony. You place your palm on those words and feel them go from ink to instruction, from sentence to a steady frequency inside your chest. Behind that steadying, a second knowing rises. I don't chase, I command by calm. There's a soft knock. A conductor stands in the doorway. Not hurried, not intrusive. A presence that feels like capability made human. Their cap carries a small insignia, a key crossed with an olive branch. Authority at peace. They hold out a leather pouch. For you, they say, and place it in your hands. Inside are old tickets, thin slips of paper you once carried. Not enough. Late fee. Denied. Someday. You notice how light they feel now. Almost transparent. The conductor opens a small brass stamp, presses it gently over each slip. Cleared. The ink is crimson and final. As the stamp rises, you feel the corresponding place in your body unclench. The stomach softens. The shoulders drop. The breath widens. You hand the stamped slips back. The conductor nods. The pouch dissolves like smoke in sun, and a new pouch appears, heavier, grounded, confident. You peek, paid. Received, approved, posted. Inflow. The stamp is unnecessary. These are already true. The train glides forward, and the world begins to move outside your window like a dark river, dotted with villages of warm light. The rail's rhythm becomes your breath's rhythm. The table lamp glows in a tone that flatters the soul. You pick up the fountain pen. Its weight says we only record what is real. You write your name the way you want life to say it. Clear, unforced, inevitable. Under it, you write 3 lines. You don't have to force, money responds to my clarity. I am supplied in silence. I direct through ease. As the pen lifts, a soft click inside you confirms the message has been sent where it matters. A gentle chime sounds in the corridor. You step out, barefoot, pads of your feet, registering polished wood that remembers every person who ever walked here in peace. The carriage you enter feels like a gallery of movement and meaning. Along one side, tall windows open onto a changing landscape of symbols. Your heart understands without translation, a stream that loops back toward itself, recurring income. A lighthouse, guidance at the right moment. A field of wheat, harvest preset by prior seed. A bridge, events arranging. You pause at a niche that holds 6 brass levers set into a paneled wall, each topped with a small glass lens that glows when touched. Beneath each lever, an engraving, salary work, royalties, investments, business, gifts, surprises. You wrap your hand around the first lever. It's cool and friendly. You ease it upward 1 notch. The lens warms, not hot, alive. Inside your ribcage, the exact spot that once tightened when bills arrived, now loosens as if the room itself is widening. You lift the next lever and the next. No greed, no grabbing, just calibration. You are not yanking at the world. You are choosing a flow rate your nervous system can enjoy. Each notch higher comes with a corresponding rise in inner steadiness. Your body is learning that receiving can be clean. The next carriage is a dining car, reimagined as a treasury of kindness. Tables spaced far enough apart that every conversation can be a prayer. At your place, a covered tray waits. You lift the lid to find small envelopes arranged in a circle like a clock. Each envelope is labeled for a facet of your life. Home care, learning, play, family, health, travel, cushion, giving, long view, taxes, tools, delight. You smile at that last one. You open taxes first, not to dread it, but to remove the shadow from it. Inside is a simple card, set aside automatically. Your exhale leaves longer than your inhale. You open giving. The card reads, "Send where the heart smiles and the mind nods." In long view it says, "Let compounding be your quiet friend." You don't have to solve anything here. You are simply letting each category become a place without fear. Your body catalogs the feeling of order. It is not rigid, it is gentle edges that keep water in a useful shape. Beyond the dining car, a door slides open onto a balcony between carriages. Night air kisses your face. Stars tilt overhead like friendly signatures. The tracks sing. You rest both hands on the railing and say inwardly, "I am already carried." Something in the lower back, the place where fight or flight builds its fort, unclenches. You notice how wealth feels when there is nothing to prove. Spacious, specific, serene. You move forward into a carriage lined with shelves. Not books, ledgers that look like books. Spines labeled with the names of old moments you've decided to heal. You take down one labeled, "That Conversation About Money." It opens to a page where words once stung, but the ink is light now, ready to be written over. You pick up a pale gold pencil from the shelf and write the sentence you needed then. You are safe, and your worth is not a number. As the words lay down, the old memory unhooks from your body. You feel it leave like a quiet bird through an open window. Page after page, you revise, not to deny what was, but to release the clench that kept it repeating. When you close the ledger, there is a physical sensation, your diaphragm taking a fuller, easier breath. You slide the book back. Its spine no longer reads like a warning. It reads like a chapter concluded. The next door opens to a conservatory filled with living green. Moonlight pools on the leaves, and the air smells like rain remembered. In the center, raised beds of dark soil wait with a patience that is almost musical. On a low table, a bowl of luminous seeds. These are not seeds of hope. They are seeds of instruction. Each one holds a message you will plant in the obedient soil of your subconscious. You pick one up, it warms in your palm. You feel the message without reading it, recurring ease. You kneel and press it into the soil. Your thumb leaves a moon-shaped indent. You cover it gently and whisper, "Grow as I sleep." Another seed, right clients, right price, right timing. Plant, unexpected refund. Plant, wise no's that create better yes. Plant, freedom to be generous without arithmetic. Plant, homes that feel like rest. Plant. You sit back on your heels and watch nothing, because seeds do not perform for the impatient. A soundless understanding passes through you. I do not need to witness the mechanism to trust the law. As you rise, small lanterns along the path brighten. One by one, you follow them to a little courtyard, where 3 people wait at a low table, figures who have loved you in ways that mattered most. One is from your past, one from your present, one you haven't met yet. They present simple bowls, labeled receive, steward, and share. You place your hands over each bowl. Into receive, you pour permission. Into steward, you pour clarity. Into share, you pour joy. The bowls fill and glow until their light mingles and becomes a steady halo around your chest. The future friend smiles like someone who already knows how kind you are with power. You return to your compartment. The bed has turned itself down. At the window, the night is deeper, gentler. You sit on the edge of the berth and notice a small device on the table. No buttons. Just a smooth face that reads tone. You speak softly, not to the room, but to the deep, creative part of you that always listens. I am wealth at rest. I am the command, and my peace is the method. While I sleep, what is mine? By state finds me by law. The device glows, satisfied, as if to say the frequency is set. Lie back. The pillow holds the curve of your skull, as if it has known you for a long time. One hand on your chest, one on your belly. Feel the rise and fall, like oars, dipping in calm water. A second knock. The conductor returns, sets a small tray by the lamp, and leaves without waiting. On the tray, a stack of cards, the size of playing cards, corners rounded, edges painted in gold leaf. You turn them over one by one. Each shows a scene from the near future rendered in the vocabulary of relief. Payment received, with a green check. Project signed, with a handshake that feels good in the body. Your credit is excellent, said in a tone without surprise. Deposit not a windfall, an outcome. Your rate has improved, because your state has. Your nervous system takes each card like a vitamin you absorb without effort. A soft announcement carries through the carriage, the kind that never startles. We will now pass through the tunnel of revision. The lights dim to that shade of dark where the mind glows brighter. Through the window, the train enters a tunnel carved not through stone, but through time. On the walls, flickers of moments you once turned into rules, but now the walls are screens, and you hold the remote. You slow a scene where you equated receiving with danger. You remove the danger like a thorn and watch the scene grow tender. You slow a scene where you thought more meant less of me. You add boundaries and watch more right-size itself, becoming not a flood, but a system of clean channels. Each edit you make in here moves forward like a ripple and arranges matter in the daylight world. Your body records this truth as a temperature, warm across the shoulders, cool over the forehead, steady at the heart. Out of the tunnel, the stars again. The train eases its speed, not to stop, but to give you time to feel the difference between before and after. Your window reflects your face, not dramatic, not saintly, just you, unknotted. In that reflection you notice a small gold thread at your throat you hadn't seen. It's a key on a chain. You lift it. The key is simple and honest. On its shaft, one word is etched, so small you feel it more than read it. Now you press the key against your sternum. It clicks, not into metal, but into meaning. The click says, I withdraw all power from someday and return it to now. A final walk, if you like. One last carriage waits, quieter than the others, because it is where work becomes blessing. Long tables, clear surfaces, tools that love to be used well. A wall of receipts that are not demands but thank you notes from reality. For value delivered, for courage expressed, for clarity offered. You gather tomorrow's 3 actions that will move the richest needle with the least noise. Each action slides into a neat stack on a tray, labeled after sleep. The tray lights gently, acknowledging that you lead a day instead of being chased by it. You leave the carriage with the dignified lightness of someone who knows that rest is part of the work. Enter your compartment. You dim the lamp 1 notch. The night outside leans closer, friendly as a cat. The train's rhythm becomes a lullaby made of oak and intention. The final act is as simple as returning to breath. Inhale, your lower ribs widen like doors that were always meant to open. Exhale. The body sinks 1 layer deeper into the berth, as if the mattress learned a new word, yes. Let 3 sentences rise and fall on that tide. Each one felt the way skin feels temperature. I am already what I used to chase. Money travels the paths my peace has paved. As I sleep, my world obeys my quiet command. Say them not with effort, but with accuracy. Feel how each lands. 1 in the chest like a steady lantern. one in the belly like a warm stone, one at the crown like a soft halo. The conductor's step fades down the corridor. Somewhere up front, the engineer smiles. There is nothing dramatic to do. It is all set. Let the window become a single star. Let the star become a single point. Let the point become breath. And as you cross the easy border into sleep, the train carries on with its beautiful boring miracle. Tracks laid, signals green, destinations contacted in advance. Your part is already done. The command has been given. The soil has received the seed. The law loves to keep its promises. Sleep now. The deposits know their way. The approvals are already en route. The right people have already been moved into place. The bridge is built plank by invisible plank while you dream without strain. And in the morning you will wake in a body that recognizes a new baseline, wealth as normal, generosity as instinct, work as offering, rest as authority. Let your breathing find a slow, roomy rhythm, almost like the tide, feeling its way to shore. Inhale through the nose and let the ribs widen in all directions. Exhale longer than you inhaled, as if you're pouring warm water back into a bowl. The jaw slackens. The tongue drops from the roof of the mouth. The back of the heart loosens. With each breath, you step from noise into knowing. A soft warmth begins at your sternum. The pleasant weight of a key you didn't realize you were wearing. When you touch it, the air around you changes temperature, like stepping out of a bright day into a quiet, cool sanctuary. When your inner eyes open, you are standing at the edge of an old city shaped by water and wisdom. It is twilight, the most merciful hour, when the sky is lavender and the first stars hesitate for a beautiful moment before committing to the night. Before you, a network of aqueducts spans a gentle valley. Water moves inside them with that confident hush that belongs to rivers that know where they're going. Every channel is labeled with a small bronze plaque: salary, royalties, investments, business, gifts, refunds, surprises, interest, dividends, back pay, found money, repaid debts. You smile not because of greed, but because of recognition. This place is yourself, arranged properly. You are not a beggar here. You are the keeper. You step down a stone stair. The stone is warm from the day, cool on top from the evening. Exactly the temperature balance your nervous system loves. A caretaker is waiting, not a servant, not a boss, someone whose job is to keep everything honest and effortless. Their eyes laugh without making a sound. They hand you a ring, simple, heavy, fitted to your finger, as if it always belonged there. Turn this when you want to adjust the flow, they say. And their voice is the sound of good news, stated plainly. You move along the first channel. The water is clear. No static, no sediment, just clean movement. You rest your hand over the flow without touching it. The ring warms, and the water lifts by a thumb's width, a subtle increase you can feel in your belly as a line of tension slackens. You adjust the next channel and the next. Not yanking, not grabbing, calibrating, feeling, not forcing. The body understands the difference. It registers as the back of your neck lengthening, the shoulders finding their honest height, the breath traveling lower into the bowl of your pelvis. A lesson writes itself in the fascia, beneath your skin. Receiving can be simple when identity is set. A small gatehouse stands where the channels converge. Its door is open and the room smells like cedar and clean paper. Inside, a long desk holds a velvet tray of envelopes. Each is sealed with wax, showing the same symbol as your ring, a circle within a square, spirit within structure. The caretaker nods toward them. These were misdelivered to someday. We've rerouted them to now. You break the first seal. Inside, approved. The next, posted. Then, funds released. Then, contract finalized at your rate. Then, refund issued. There's no adrenaline spike, only the exact sensation of a window being opened on a spring morning. You stack the envelopes in a wooden in tray engraved with your name. And in the act of setting them down, your body memorizes a new truth. I don't hunt what I am. I accept what I've already become. A narrow stair leads downward. You take it, trailing one hand along the smooth wall, and emerge in a vaulted hall bright with soft lanterns. Ledges run the length of the space, each holding a small stone bowl. Above every bowl, a single word: home, tools, health, learning, play, travel, cushion, future, giving, taxes, repairs, delight. You walk the line of bowls slowly, letting each label touch a place in your body that used to tighten. Taxes used to feel like a threat. Here it is simply a bowl with a steady inflow. Repairs used to feel like surprise. Here it is scheduled kindness. Giving glows a degree warmer than the others, like a hearth that knows everyone's name. You lift a small ladle and distribute water into each bowl. When giving receives, you feel your chest expand in a way that is its own reward. When cushion receives, your low back breathes. When future receives, time itself becomes a friend again, not a hallway you sprint down. There is a wooden door at the far end, simple grain, iron latch, polished by friendly hands. On the other side, a courtyard opens to the evening. Vines climb old stone. The sound of the water filling the bowls continues behind you, a low music, automatic and faithful. In the courtyard, a round table waits under a fig tree. 3 seats. You sit in one. The other 2 fill without footsteps. One is a version of you from not long ago, still trying to buy safety with strain. Their mouth is brave. Their shoulders tell the truth. The other is a version of you haven't lived into yet, carrying the kind of ease that listens more than it speaks. No speeches here, no moralizing. Only a transfer of temperature. The future you reaches for the hand of the past you, and squeezes once, gently. It's enough. The message isn't in words. I've got it from here. When they let go, you feel the handshake ripple backward and forward through your timeline, relaxing 1,000 tiny muscles you didn't know were working. Back inside the gatehouse, a side door opens to a small gallery of frames. In each frame, a moment that once tried to become a rule. The grocery checkout, where your card failed and heat crawled up your neck. The rent due email that felt like a judgment. The memory of someone saying money changes people, and the way you took it to mean that you should not be trusted with much. In this gallery, the frames are hinged. You gently swing them open and write a revision on the inside of each with a soft pencil that smells like beeswax. Paid easily, laughed with the cashier. Rent on autopilot, owner grateful for my reliability. Money reveals my generosity. It doesn't erase it. As you close each frame, it latches with a click. In your body, the click registers as a deeper stillness in the diaphragm. The subconscious nods, instruction received. A bell rings once from somewhere deep within the city. Not a summons, an announcement that a new rhythm has begun. You follow a colonnade lined with lanterns that raise their brightness by degrees as you approach. At the far end, an arch opens onto a terrace high above the valley. Below, the aqueducts shine. Above, the larger river of stars returns to its patient work. A brass instrument sits on a stone plinth at the terrace's center. A sextant, but it doesn't measure distance. It measures tone. You rest your fingertips on its cool arc. The needle floats between urgency and assurance. You do not wrestle it. You sit on the low wall and let your posture answer the question. Without effort, the needle moves toward assurance and stays. A pleasant heaviness fills your bones. The weight of someone who knows they won't be asked to run. Inside your mind, the sentence completes itself. I do not speed money up. I settle myself, and money matches me. Down a lit stair, another chamber waits, round, quiet, with a domed ceiling, painted the color of dusk, and the faint geometry of constellations. The floor is a mosaic river. At the center, a low fountain circulates with that familiar hush. On a pedestal beside it, a journal lies open to a fresh page. The pen is heavy, agreeable. You write without crafting. the way truth writes itself when no one is watching. I am paid for being accurate, generous, and on time with myself. Money is loyal to my clarity. I rest, and what rests with me multiplies. The letters look like your handwriting, but the ease between them is new. As the last period lands, a small drawer in the pedestal slides out, inside a stamp that reads filed. You press it to the page. The ink dries as fast as you exhale. A gentle corridor curves away. On its walls, niches hold glass cylinders with slow-turning hourglasses. Sand falls without anxiety. There is one with your name etched into the base. You turn it over. It doesn't speed up, it simply begins. Your nervous system hears a promise underneath the quiet sound of falling sand. The world will meet you at the pace of your peace. A doorway ahead opens into a long hall with skylights and a clean work table, like a studio where form meets function. On the table, tomorrow's actions have already sorted themselves. 3 cards face up, the kind that move the real needle without burning you out. Beside them, a neat stack of emails nobody needs a reply to. You slide them into a drawer that closes itself. Your body registers that as a whole, inhale. That finally reaches your back ribs. You touch the 3 cards lightly, 1 fingertip each, as if to bless them and also to inform them that you will not be bullied. They seem relieved. Out on a small balcony, the night is velvet, and the city hums with the good sounds of things that know what to do. A breeze lifts a curl of hair and sets it down again, the way a good mother sets a sleeping child back in bed. After checking the window, you rest both hands on the railing and say a sentence that rises from your bones rather than your mouth. What belongs with me moves toward me without noise. The sentence isn't a wish, it's a status update. Back through the hall, past the aqueducts, you re-enter the first room. The velvet tray is empty now. Its work is done. The caretaker gives a small bow, not to your status, but to your steadiness. They hand you a small plain box. Inside, a length of thread, the color of candlelight, and a needle with an eye large enough that you don't squint. For closing the places that used to leak, they say. You don't need to ask where. Your fingers move of their own accord, 1 tiny stitch at the place where urgency dripped, another at the seam where you used to buy love with overgiving, another where you said yes to avoid silence. The thread doesn't show once it's in. It simply strengthens the fabric of your self-trust. You tie off the last stitch and breathe in the quiet it makes. There is a bed here you hadn't noticed, built into an alcove that looks toward the aqueducts and the generous sky. The linen is cool. The mattress keeps the imprint of relief. You lie down on your side the way animals do when they know they're safe. 1 palm rests open at your heart, the other on your lower belly, reminding 2 great centers to talk to each other like old friends. Through the open window, the water sings you the oldest lullaby, movement with purpose. The key at your chest warms 1 last time and then settles to the temperature of your skin as if it has become you. Before sleep, 3 sentences present themselves, not demanded, not recited by will, but floated up by the same intelligence that keeps your heart beating while you dream. You say them inside the space behind your forehead, where words turn into climate. I am the quiet command that money loves to follow. I receive, because receiving is my nature now. As I sleep, the channels carry more than enough, and my only job is rest. You feel where each lands, behind the breastbone like a steady lantern, low in the belly like a warm stone on winter cloth, at the base of the skull like a hand cupped under your head. The aqueducts below continue their patient work. The bowls fill in the hall without your supervision. The frames in the gallery stay latched. The hourglass keeps perfect time. You do not need to watch any of it. The subconscious has already stamped the orders and closed the drawer. Let the eyelids grow pleasantly heavy. Let the bones feel 3% heavier than the muscles. Let the exhale lengthen by 1 beat more. If a last thought comes looking for you, let it find only a sign on a door that reads, handled, and if the night wants a password, give it the 1 word that never fails to open anything essential. Now, sleep. The law is faithful, the bridge is building, while you dream. The approvals are already turning into deposits. The right people are already moving at the pace that will feel like grace when you meet them. In the morning, you'll wake into a body that recognizes a new normal. Wealth without noise, structure without strain, generosity without depletion, work without self-betrayal. The key will already be warm. The channels will already be flowing. And you will smile the way people do when relief has had enough time to become identity. Let your breath lengthen as if the lungs themselves were tied to a slow tide. Inhale through the nose and let the collarbones float a few millimeters higher. Exhale with a soft sigh. You can feel in the belly. Again, inhale. Count to 4 without hurrying. Exhale, count to 6, as if you're pouring warm tea back into its cup. Let the jaw unclasp, the forehead smooths. The small muscles around the eyes loosen like shoelaces being untied. Your body is a shoreline. The day recedes from it without argument. A salt-clean breeze brushes your face. When your inner eyes open, you are standing on weathered planks, the kind that hold stories in their grain. The harbor lies before you, quiet, moonlit and organized by a wisdom older than rush. The water has that pearl-gray sheen. That means it's listening. An arc of hills holds the bay like gentle hands. To your left, a whitewashed customs house glows, the sort of place where stamps mean something and good news speaks plainly. To your right, the lighthouse revolves patiently, sending a slow, friendly blade of light across the anchorage. It never strains. It just keeps the rhythm. And the rhythm keeps the ships safe. You're not a stranger here. At your chest, the wind lifts a lanyard. A brass medallion rests against your sternum, warm as body temperature. When you touch it, you remember you're the harbor master of your own prosperity. Nothing blares, nothing scrambles. You simply belong to command that doesn't have to shout. Out in the bay, dark shapes point their bows toward the channel. Each ship carries a name painted in calm white letters: salary, royalties, consulting, dividends, rental, gifts, back pay, repaid debts, refunds, surprises, interest, found money, licensing, profit share, tips, new client, inheritance of peace. You smile because each name is just a stream wearing a different hat. It is all the same ocean. It is all the same source, arriving by the most polite variety of forms. Walk the pier. The boards give just enough underfoot to remind your joints that the world can carry you. A dockhand in a navy peacoat, your competence wearing a human face, falls in step without fuss. Evening, they say, as if this were the most natural night to become who you already are. They hand you a leather-bound manifest. The paper is thick. The pen is heavy. The first page reads like a promise you made to yourself, and are finally keeping. All vessels carrying what belongs with me, clear immediately. All payments due are punctual and complete. Nothing missing, nothing late, nothing strained. As the first ship eases toward the pilings, 2 tugboats move like discreet angels, nudging its stern, guiding its bow. Their names are Bridge of Incidents and Perfect Timing. You watch how little effort is required when small forces apply themselves in the right place. The captain leans from the wheelhouse and tips his cap to you. It is not flattery, it is recognition. The lines arc, thicken, catch. Cleats embrace them without drama. A gangway settles against the rail with a hollow wooden thud. Your bones find reassuring. You walk aboard. Deckhands roll back the canvas on gleaming crates. Stencils read, cleared funds, unexpected check. Contract executed, adjustment in your favor. Higher rate accepted. Bonus approved. You don't snatch, you inventory. Your breath stays slow because identity is doing the lifting for you. Each crate has a paper envelope taped to the top. You break the wax seals one by one and stamp the documents with a simple word. Received. The stamp clicks just once. The ink dries instantly. Your nervous system translates that click into a longer exhale. and a neck that no longer cranes toward tomorrow. Down the gangway, the crates are wheeled toward the customs house. Inside, marble counters are warm as bread. The clerk has the exact face of the part of you that loves order without being pedantic. We'll sort by purpose, they say, sliding you a ceramic tray with compartments labeled with kind intelligence. Home, investments, health, learning, joy, giving, cushion, taxes, handled, repairs, play, travel, tools, future you, family, delight. You feel, inside your ribs, the relief of having a place for everything that asks to belong. You open one crate, paper rustles, the good kind. You fill the compartments, not from fear, but from the golden mood of enoughness. When you drop a stack into giving, the tray seems to glow a degree warmer. Your chest widens, and some old knot beneath your shoulder blade dissolves. When cushion receives, your lower back softens like a sigh that finally had permission. When taxes handled fills itself without sting, the phrase loses its grimace and becomes an adult piece. Each placement is an inner stitch. I trust myself with structure, therefore money trusts me with volume. A bell rings, one note, gorgeously rounded, somewhere near the lighthouse. You step out onto the veranda. Out in the channel, another vessel glides between the green and red buoys. Its hull is painted with the name you once avoided for fear of disappointment, surprises. You notice how differently you meet it now. No braced shoulders, no suspicious squint. You simply raise a hand, and the lighthouse answers with a slow slice of light that lands on the ship's name as if to say, "This way," and welcome. Surprises, in this harbor, means pleasant timing. The old edge is gone. You can hear your heart admit that it likes to be pleasantly wrong about how good life can be. Walk along the quay. Nets hang from pegs. Drying, the old habit of catching crumbs with worry has no place here. A gull settles on a piling like punctuation to a sentence you just finished writing. I am the safe harbor wealth chooses. The gull preons. You keep walking. On a side pier, a smaller vessel rocks gently against the fenders. It bears a humbler name. Found Money. You step aboard. The cabin smells faintly of cedar and clean rope. On the chart table, an ledger lies open to a page titled Overlooked and Returned. Entries list tiny, tender mercies. Subscription refunded. Overcharge corrected. Discount discovered. Rebate posted. Wallet returned with cash untouched. Note in winter coat pocket discovered in spring. You run your fingertips down the list, and the skin there records a change. You are allowed to receive in small, sweet ways as well as grand ones. The subconscious loves these proofs. It stacks them until, of course, becomes your default weather. Back on the main pier, a broad door, marked signals, swings inward. Inside, a lofty room holds coiled flags, bright, clean, precise. Each flag means something. Only 3 hang from the ready mast tonight. One carries a square, as calm as a man who knows his mortgage is paid. One carries a circle, like an open hand. One carries a vertical line, straight spine, steady gaze. You and the dockhand hoist them by feel. Circle first, receiving. Square second, structure. Line last, sovereignty. The halyards hum. The flags catch the breeze and establish a climate across the harbor. Generous, organized, confident, out beyond the breakwater. You can actually see the bows of ships lift, as if the ocean itself were nodding. A weather front gathers on the horizon. Not storm exactly, but the faint gray of old narratives that used to wander in uninvited. It's hard for me, it only works for them. The other shoe will drop. You do not argue. You lower the breakwater gates, quiet slabs sliding up from the seafloor, and watch the chop smooth into silk. You say to the room, and to the old thoughts, if they're still listening, we don't do noise. We do knowing. The lighthouse light makes a slow revolution and affirms the policy. Follow the handrail toward the lighthouse itself. The spiral stair is honest. It asks your legs to work, but rewards them with a view every few turns. At the lantern room, you rest palms on the glass. The mechanism moves with a humility you respect, gears oiled, timing certain. There's a brass dial beneath the lens with two markings: urgency and assurance. The needle rests near center. You are not dramatic, you are accurate. You nudge the dial toward assurance by the exact distance your breath has already traveled down into your belly. The beam of light doesn't brighten. It steadies. The harbor feels it like a cat, feels a person's calm hand. On a small side table, a book waits with a fountain pen uncapped. The page at today's date has 3 blank lines. Your hand writes what your bones already know. I am the harbor where money anchors easily. I am cleared, paid, and provided because I am clear, present, and worthy. While I rest, the tugboats do their work, and every ship finds me. You don't reread. You don't evaluate. You simply close the book and let the spine click with that same deep punctuation you felt when you stamped received. Your diaphragm registers instructions sealed. Back at the quay, a narrow alley leads to a warehouse whose doors stand open. Inside, a clean aisle runs between tall shelving. Each shelf holds crates with your initials burned into the slats. Nothing leans. Nothing crowds. The air smells like good wood and a hint of citrus. Forklifts, quiet as cats, move gracefully, lifting pallets from incoming to assigned, from assigned to complete. One driver tips their cap to you. Their cap says discernment, and you grin without trying to. You realize you do not have to micromanage grace. At the far end, a small door leads to a room with a single object, a wall-sized map of your past labeled routes and returns. Colored threads trace voyages you've taken through belief, the long way around dread, the shortcut through generosity, the loop you used to run called overgive and resent, the new straight line labeled ask once, assume, receive. Little pins mark the places where shipments were once lost. You touch one pin gently and speak to the younger you who first put it there. That one arrived. You just hadn't reached the dock yet, as if your voice carried backward through time. The thread right there brightens and attaches to the K. Your jaw unclenches in the present. Revision is not denial. It is harvest righted. You step back into the harbor night. The tide has turned on schedule, not because you ordered it, but because you aligned with it. Along the pier, lamps light themselves. You follow them toward a moored schooner whose deck shines like poured tea. The name on her stern makes your chest warm, the way good cinnamon does. Steady income. A gangway waits. You ascend and cross to the quarterdeck, where a chair and a blanket have been placed to fit you. The blanket smells faintly of soap and sun. You sit and let the ship's quiet sway finish unwinding what the day could not. The mate brings a small tray, a ceramic cup of water that tastes like confidence, and a single envelope with your handwriting on it. You open it. Inside is a line you wrote in a moment of unambiguous clarity. I do not chase, I choose, and what I choose chooses me. You tuck the card into the pocket of your coat. The pocket feels like it was tailored for that exact sentence. A soft bell chimes. Footsteps approach. The captain you'll become stands beside you, without need to hurry the meeting. Their eyes hold the kind of rest you once thought you had to earn, and their mouth holds the kind of humor that comes from not being impressed by panic. They don't talk much, they squeeze your shoulder. The pressure says, you have it now. And your fascia, silent, animal, honest, agrees. Under the forward hatch, a cabin waits. When you duck in, you notice how everything is anchored. The lamp is gimbered, so it stays upright no matter what the sea does. The books are wedged neatly. The bed is built into the curve of the hull. A nest with intent. You set your medallion on the shelf beside the pillow. And for the first time you realize it never leaves you even when your hands do. You lie down on your side. The mattress receives your weight like a promise kept. One palm rests on your chest. One palm rests just below your navel, a handshake between two centers that run your life better than worry ever did. Through the open porthole, the soundtrack arrives, water against wood, lines creaking, a friendly buoy bell. The harbor speaks lullabies in a dialect. You remember from before you learn to be afraid. Your breath finds the harbor rhythm without instruction. Slow, deep, longer on the way out. The nervous system that once stood guard with a broom now sits down and puts its feet in warm sand. A few last guests knock on the cabin door. Old phrases who forgot they're retired. What if it stops? One asks. Without getting up, you point toward the lighthouse. It turns. We don't do if, you say kindly. We do now. The phrase nods and slips back down the companionway, almost relieved to be dismissed. Another peeks in. Are you sure you deserve it? And you laugh as gently as a tide over small stones. Deserving is not the door, you say, half asleep. Identity is. The phrase dissolves into the wood, like fog, into sunlight. 3 sentences arrive for you to rest inside, not as orders, but as climate. I am the signal that calls the right ships home. I am the quiet. Yes, that clears and receives with grace. As I sleep, every vessel bearing my good enters, unloads, and anchors. Let the words stop being words and start being weather. Feel where they live. The first settles between the shoulder blades like wings folding after flight. The second warms the sternum like coals you don't have to blow on. The third sits low and steady like a stone placed lovingly at the bottom of a jar to keep flowers upright. The ship creaks once like a satisfied cat. Out on the bay, more bows point toward the channel. You do not need to watch them come in. The tugboats are at work. The breakwater is up. The lighthouse turns. The flags keep their friendly order. The customs house lights stay on, staffed by your competence, which never resents its own reliability. You have written the manifest on your marrow. The world has read it. Let your eyelids fall. Let gravity earn your trust again. Let the tongue rest on the floor of the mouth, the way true wealth rests in a body that knows it will not be stolen. If a stray thought wanders down the dock, it finds a sign written in neat harbor script. Arrivals continue. Harbor master asleep. All clear. Sleep now. Every channel is open. Every hull that bears your name is already in sight. And in the morning when you wake and stand on the pier with warm planks under your feet, you will find the crates stacked where they belong. The stamps dry, the ledgers balanced, the signals flying, the lighthouse steady, and your chest carrying the simplest of medallions. I am. Close your eyes, as if they were heavy with kindness. Let the breath lengthen on its own, like a ribbon unspooling without a tug. Inhale through the nose, and feel the back of the ribs expand, as though someone opened a pair of quiet curtains. Exhale with a long, whispering sigh that takes the day with it. Again, in, out. A little slower than comfort, just enough to tell your body, I'm home. The jaw loosens. The tongue rests like a small boat on a calm lake. The muscles around your eyes untie their knots. The floor or mattress under you becomes warm, forgiving earth. Somewhere behind the forehead, a door swings on silent hinges. When you step through, night air greets you, clean, pine-edged, touched with cool stone. A gravel path curves upward. Lanterns set along it at kind intervals. Each lantern knows exactly when to glow. You don't have to ask. The light is the color of honey in a thin teacup. Your feet find the rhythm without consulting your thoughts. Heel, ball, toe, and a little gratitude with each step. A sense arrives, not a thought, a sense that everything ahead has been expecting you for a very long time. The path opens onto a plateau, and there it is, a mountain observatory, round as a promise, built of pale limestone that remembers sunlight even at midnight. The great copper dome is half open, like a careful eyelid. The big brass telescope points toward a sky salted with stars. You are not alone. And yet you are completely unobserved. No performance, only privacy that feels like friendship. Somewhere a moth bumps a glass pane and settles, satisfied. The night holds still, the way a listening friend holds still. Push the door, and it yields to the exact pressure of your palm. Inside, the marble floor is cool and honest. The air smells faintly of metal polish and cedar. In the center, a mechanical model of the heavens waits on a waist-high pedestal, an orrery of gilded planets, rings, and small moons, turning so slowly you wouldn't notice if you rushed, but you are no longer rushing. Each sphere carries a discrete engraving: salary, royalties, passive income, windfall, refunds, dividends, new clients, settlement, repaid loan, licensing, found money, investments, gifts, profit share. They are not begging for your attention. They orbit because you are here. Their pace belongs to you. Let your fingertips rest on the rim of the pedestal. There's a little dial inset in the brass, two words etched beside it: noise and knowing. Without fanfare, move the needle toward knowing until your shoulders drop a few millimeters. The gears below the floor answer with the softest click, like a lock that always wanted to open. The planets don't speed up. They become precise. Your body recognizes precision and imitates it, breathing steadier, heart writing a calm script under your ribs. Across from the orrery stands an enormous clock with only one hand. Instead of numbers, the outer ring bears phrases: right on time, as needed, already arranged. Now that you're ready, perfect sequence, effortless arrival. The hand points confidently to already arranged. You grin because there's nothing more to do to hold that position than to be who you are in this room. Along the circular wall runs a gallery of simple instruments. On a shelf sits a leather case. Inside are three lenses you can thread onto the telescope, labeled not with science, but with the habits of your being: acceptance, structure, sovereignty. Pick up the first lens. It's surprisingly warm. Screw it in until it seats with a satisfying click. You lean to the eyepiece, and the heavens rearrange into patterns your nervous system comprehends without language. Constellations begin to carry names you once feared to say aloud: paid in full, increase, backdated blessing, green light, smooth, yes, early release, extra zero. You don't chase them. You simply see them. And because you see them from here, they see you back. In one alcove, a wooden table sits with a velvet-lined drawer. You pull it open. Inside is a small brass plate with a sentence engraved in gentle letters: what you assume here is law. The plate is heavy enough that gravity feels like a friend. Next to it, a fountain pen lies uncapped beside a single card. Without effort, your hand writes in your own most natural handwriting: I am the one for whom supply is natural. The ink dries the moment you stop, as if it never had to become wet to be true. Walk toward a railing where the dome opens to the night. The sky is so clear it hums. Far below, a sleepy town glows. Kitchen window lights, a late train sliding along its track, a quiet river like dark silk. You rest your forearms on the cool brass and feel the greater machine you live in working without your supervision. A soft thought, not even a thought, more like a breeze, moves through you. The world loves a settled receiver. Your belly agrees and loosens a notch. Your breath lengthens again of its own accord. Back at the orrery, a small lever waits with a tiny porcelain handle. No label, only an invitation. You touch it and feel the warmth of all the times you have told the truth quietly. Push down, and something elegant happens. The floor beneath the pedestal reveals an inner ring that begins to rotate the other way, almost imperceptible in motion, unmistakable in effect. The word that rises, not in your head but in your bones, is reversibility. You feel the relief of having instead of the hunger for it, and the mechanism translates that feeling into choreography. Out beyond the dome, one of those constellations seems to pulse. The room smells briefly of rain on warm dust. A cabinet door swings open near the telescope. Inside, padded niches cradle an assortment of tiny tuning forks, each stamped with an emotion that is safe to have: ease, relief, gratitude, dignity, play, generosity. Pick up ease. Strike it gently against the edge of your palm. The tone is pure and modest. No drama, only permission. The note lingers in your chest, as if it expected to live there. For a moment you think you hear a faint cascade of metallic ticks from deep within the walls, like a million locks, choosing to be unlocked. There is a stair curling upward into the crown of the dome. Take it, each step is proportioned to your breath, and at the top you find a narrow gallery circling the lens assembly. A black velvet curtain hides a small projection window. Draw it back. A rectangle of night appears, and then, as if you blinked your inner eyes, a film begins, not of the future you want, but of the now in which it is already so. You see your hands paying something easily, and you feel the old checkmate pattern dissolve. You see an email with a subject line that used to make your jaw tighten, and instead your jaw stays slack, your skin stays quiet, and your heart takes its time answering with a yes. You see your name on a transfer you didn't have to argue for. You hear the specific household sounds of a life that is not performing prosperity, but wearing it like a well-loved sweater. Let the movie wash your body in its weather. The subconscious doesn't care that you called it imagination, it cares that you felt it. A chair waits by the projector, angled just so, with a folded blanket. Sit. The cushion remembers your weight. The blanket kisses your knees. Between scenes, a steady image returns like a heartbeat. Your signature on a form that simply reads, received. Each time you watch the signature dry, your diaphragm drops, your shoulders broaden, your neck lengthens as if a thread at the crown of your head were lifted by a benevolent hand. Down the curve of the gallery, an unmarked door opens to a study. The lamp here is amber, the rug thick, the chair, the sort that respects your spine. On the desk, a ledger lies open. Not numbers, feelings catalogued, as if the soul were an accountant of climates. In one column, when I believed it was hard. In the other, when I felt it was mine. The pages turn themselves to a clean spread labeled simply, tonight. Without drama, you make 3 entries under when I feel it is mine. A quiet breakfast, where you think about anything but money, because money thinks of you. A phone call that comes exactly when it should, because you had already made peace with yes. A walk past a window where you see something you could buy now or later, and both choices feel like freedom. You close the book, and the leather sighs. Back in the main hall, the telescope has rotated toward a different patch of sky. You take out the second lens, structure, and fasten it with the same small click. Through the eyepiece, new patterns. Sharpen lines connecting stars into frameworks. Automatic transfers flowing like tiny rivers into the lakes called cushion and investments. A calendar that reminds you at the right time, not the wrong. A folder labeled taxes handled that has lost all of its old sharp edges. Your body registers this view, not as restraint but as a habitat for thriving. Somewhere near your sacrum, an old leftover flint resigns. On a low shelf, a wooden box contains simple stamps. Each stamp is a sentence you can place on events in your inner world. You ink one that says, of course, and press it, in imagination, onto a handful of small scenes. A discount that appears without hunting. A client who finds you because you finally stood where you belonged. A clerk who says, looks like you're due something back. With each press, the stamp leaves a warmth in your palms and a softness behind the sternum. It's not excitement. It's the sensation of I fit. Slide in the third lens. Sovereignty. The sky you view now is not busy. It is clear. A single bright object crosses the field, leaving a line that feels like a sentence you will carry for years. I am the authority on what belongs in my life. The sentence is not a shout. It is the quiet key that opens the one door that matters. Under your ribs, something opens to match it. A floor-to-ceiling window thrown wide in a house you always wanted to live in. The observatory has one more room, and you've saved it without trying. Down a short hall, a door painted the color of ripe wheat stands ajar. You push it with 2 fingers. Inside, a sorting room. But not for papers, to sort attention. On the left, a low bench catches the last of your old rehearsals as they arrive to be retired. It's hard. It won't last. Not for me. You don't fight them, you acknowledge them like elders who did their best with what they knew. You thank them and slide the bin into a chute marked compost. On the right, a new bin labeled, "What grows me," is already half full. It's natural, it's safe to receive. I am the answer to my own decision. You hold one of those phrases in your hand until the warmth of your skin changes it from ink to fact. Then you place it on the shelf at eye level where your gaze will easily reach it. Return to the orrery. The inner ring is still turning the opposite way, translating felt completion into outer cores. You rest both hands on the rim and let your elbows soften. 3 brief lines rise, not to be recited like spells, but to be worn like breath. I am supplied because I am settled. I am chosen because I choose. I am safe because I say so. Let them sink beneath language. The body understands first. Your ankles loosen, your calves exhale. The skin over your cheeks seems to move half a shade nearer to the color of rest. Somewhere down in the town, the late train you saw earlier slides into the station with a long, contented sigh. The track switches clicked for it long before it arrived. The operator who set those points sits now with a cup of tea, untroubled, because their job is done and done well. The image pleases you. It tells the truth. The bridge of incidence is already building itself while you do the one work that is actually yours, being the person for whom it makes sense. You loop slowly around the room one last time, touching what wanted to be touched. The plate that says what you assume here is law, the dial poised on knowing, the clock pointed to already arranged. Each object returns your touch as if you had stamped your passport. As you come back to the doorway, you notice a small niche you didn't see at first. Inside, on a little cradle, rests a medallion twin to the one your day self sometimes forgets it wears. You lift it by the ribbon and set it against your chest. It takes your temperature and becomes exactly your warmth. On the face, no ornament, only the simplest engraving, the one that quietly commands reality. I am. When you step out into the mountain night, the lanterns along the path breathe a little brighter, as if to guide you down without fuss. You take the descent without thinking. As a body takes a laugh it was waiting for. Gravel shifts gentler under your soles. The air is the kind you sleep best in. Partway down, you pause and look back. The dome is closing, not because anything ends, but because integration is a private ceremony. You touch the medallion through your shirt and feel the truth confirm itself, not in your head, but in the animal of you. You did not visit abundance. You aligned with it at the bottom of the path. That other door, the one behind your forehead, waits open the way a hand, waits for another hand it knows. Cross the threshold, bring the breath with you, in and out, a little slower than habit. The room, where your body rests, receives you like a harbor, receives a returning boat. The mattress remembers your shape. The pillow says your name the way a lighthouse says welcome without ever making a sound. As you settle, any last old phrases that still had questions step to the edge of your bed like small, insistent children. You meet their eyes with the patience of someone who has seen the map. We're safe, you tell them, and they believe you because your voice doesn't reach for proof. It is the sound of proof. Let the eyelids grow pleasantly heavy. Let the tongue rest against the floor of your mouth. Let the belly rise and fall under the weight of one palm. If a thought passes by, it reads the sign you posted on the inside of your night. Assumption sealed. Receipts follow. Sleep now. The orbits are precise. The constellations are loyal. The lever is down, and the inner ring continues its invisible turn. While you rest, the sky rearranges into your story, and the town below wakes when it is time to deliver. In the morning you will open your eyes and find your day already most of the way prepared for you, not by luck, not by strain, but by the quiet decree you issued on the mountain. And without fanfare, you'll feel it again, engraved softly where no doubt can touch it. I am. Close your eyes like you're dimming the house before bed. Let the breath loosen its own knots. Slow in through the nose until the back ribs separate like pages of a favorite book, and longer out through the mouth, as if you were fogging a window with a secret message. The tongue rests heavy and kind on the floor of your mouth. Your lower belly lifts and falls under your palm like a small tide that knows its route. The brow smooths, the small muscles behind your knees unclench, your hands forget they ever had to hold the day together. Without any push, a second landscape begins to rise inside you, the way a moon comes up behind a hill, quietly, inevitably. You're walking along a river that looks like polished glass, dark and generous, carrying the reflections of lamps that float at ankle height above the water. The air is warm with the faintest citrus and a breath of rain that hasn't fallen yet. Stone arches, wide and low, ease their backs over the river, and each arch hums a single, reassuring note, already arranged, already arranged, already arranged. You follow a promenade paved in smooth limestone that keeps the day's warmth without heat. Each step lands in the soft pocket of its own echo. On your left, arcades open into a covered market, not crowded, not loud, just the companionable hush of people who know there's enough. Cloth drapes in long, slow curtains. Brass scales sit idle and honest. A woman laughs the way someone laughs when she has decided that things work out for her. No one looks at you as if you have to prove anything. You're recognized here, not examined. Down a few wide steps, a ferry waits. The hull is lacquered wood. The rail is a friendly brass that has learned the warmth of many hands. The ferryman doesn't ask for fare. He lifts his chin the way old friends do and says, "What's the word?" You smile and answer without thinking, "I am received." He nods, touches the brim of his cap, and slides the boat away from the dock with a small push that feels like permission. The water parts and stitches itself back together behind you like a seam healed by time. Halfway across, you notice the river is shallow with coins, not heavy coins, not hoarded coins, bright discs that spin lazily in the current and never sink. Each one carries a word you've wanted to hear out loud. Cleared, early, approved, credited, forgiven, surplus. Again, yes. You lean over, and your reflection is the calm version of you, cheeks soft, eyes unhurried, mouth at ease. The ferryman watches the water with a patient affection, then says as if you'd asked, "Everything flows to the settled one." Your body understands the sentence before your mind does. Your shoulders drop by their own accord. Your chest widens a fraction like a window that finally opens all the way. The opposite bank rises to a short flight of steps that lead under an arch. On the keystone above you, shallowly carved, a single sentence. What you assume here becomes law. The stone is warm. You touch the words with 2 fingers, the way you might greet an ancestor. Inside is a courtyard, lit like afternoon, even though it is obviously night. Somewhere, cicadas trill, as if to count the seconds, and in counting, to bless them. To your right, a tall set of doors stands open into a hall where long tables hold clean, empty ledger books. No numbers. Texture. One stack is the weight of relief, another the weight of gratitude, another the lightness of play, another the dignified heft of I decide. You lay your palm on the one called relief and feel your diaphragm sink like a stone into a lake, dropping straight into stillness. You choose 3 books without reading the titles, because your hands are wiser than your eyes right now. And when you open them, each page holds a neat line waiting for a sentence. Your pen writes itself, and what appears is simply true. I am the one for whom wealth is natural. I am the one for whom money is safe. I am the one for whom opportunities arrive right on time. A press sits in the far corner, an old letterpress, with fresh ink and a flywheel that turns as easily as a laugh. A tray near it holds tiny metal letters in tidy compartments. You set, with the care of someone placing stones in a river, the words you want the world to whisper back to you. Of course, paid in advance. Again, effortless, right on time. You lock the form, set a sheet, pull the lever. The platen kisses the paper. When you lift the page, the ink has already dried, as if it never needed time to become true. You run your fingertips over the impression. Raised, real, friendly. You stack a handful of these pages on a tray labeled Daily Atmosphere. A bell somewhere rings once in a tone that says, notifying the world. Past the press, a small anteroom holds a wall of shallow drawers with porcelain knobs. Each drawer has a label in your handwriting, though you've never stood here before. Refunds, royalties, repayments, back pay, new client, contract renewed, gift, license, interest, found. You slide the drawer marked found. Inside is not money. Not yet. Inside are small slips that feel like tickets, each stamped with a place and a day and a tiny map. You take one. It reads, behind the third book at the shop, you will choose not to enter. You will enter. You laugh quietly. There's nothing to figure out. It's an instruction written by someone who already knows you. It is you. A corridor curves left, opening into a circular room where a pool waits, black as ink, still as a held breath. Above it, a skylight frames pure night. The pool is marked with a smooth brass line, at waist height with a single notch capacity. The water's surface is just below the mark. On the lip of the pool, a slider sits in a little track with 3 positions. Scarce, enough, natural. Without effort, you move it to natural. The water rises to the brass line and steadies, not in a rush, not as a spectacle, as if it had waited for the courtesy of your preference. You place your hand on the surface. It holds for a heartbeat, then yields like silk. Your palm comes away cool and awake. You know without deciding that the days ahead will arrive at the same level. Still, full, matched to your vessel. No flood, no drought. Another door opens to a balcony over a quiet street. The balcony holds a small table and 2 chairs. On the table sits an old rotary phone that never rings to startle, only to confirm. It's already humming. The soft, living electricity of a conversation that has already been agreed upon. You pick up the receiver and listen. You don't hear words first. You hear tone, warm, sure. The kind of yes that knows exactly where to land. Then the words assemble themselves around the tone, and you hear your name paired with phrases that used to trigger the flinch, and now don't. We're increasing the rate. Your approval came early. The transfer is complete. We added a 0. We went ahead and waived that. I'd love to work with you. I thought of you immediately. You don't answer out loud, because the yes is done at a deeper level than sound. You return the receiver gently, stroke the phone's enamel, as if it were a creature that has done well. Behind you, the pool makes a sound like a cat settling. You go back inside and find a wide stair down to a basement that somehow feels higher than the rooms above. A soft conveyor belt runs through this place, carrying parcels wrapped in brown paper and tied with string. Each parcel bears a stamp. Again, 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 like a heartbeat written down. The parcels move past a lamp where a hand, your hand, reaches out now and then to press a small rubber stamp, inked with the word, of course. You watch for a while as if watching rain from a covered porch. Nothing dramatic, nothing withheld. The belt keeps its pace even when you look away. And that's the point you've always wanted to feel. You leave a note at the lamplight in your careful script. Thank you for running without me. On a workbench nearby lies a small device that resembles a metronome, though it ticks only when you want it to. The face has 6 positions labeled with feeling rather than time. Ease, relief, gratitude, dignity, play, generosity. You slide the pointer to ease. It begins to tick softly, not to hurry you, but to remind your cells. With each tick, a memory appears, but not of the past, of the next ordinary morning, done in a wealthy state. Coffee brewed and tasted without checking an account. Inbox opened and found friendly. A bill paid in a gesture so unremarkable, it makes you smile at how drama once got the main role. Tick ease. Tick ease. A shallow alcove holds 3 aprons on pegs, each cross-stitched at the hem with a word. You slip the one that says sovereignty over your head. The weight is almost nothing and somehow everything. You tie the waist, the knot lands at exactly your center. The mirror across the room shows you not improved, not enhanced, simply unmasked. Your face carries the peace of someone who has decided. The mirror doesn't flatter, it affirms. You nod to yourself, as if you were a colleague you trust. Back upstairs, the market under the arcades has shifted into a twilight where everything is whisper bright. You walk between stalls, not to buy, just to register how it feels, to walk in a place where no is not the default, where not yet feels like a door being held open rather than one closing, where yes is the weather. A vendor, polishing a brass bowl, glances up with that particular kind of affection people have for those who are easy to serve. He doesn't try to sell you anything. He simply places a square of rice paper on his counter, stamps it with a seal you can't read, and slides it toward you. You pick it up. The translucent fibers are soft and surprisingly strong. Held to the light. The watermark appears, you are allowed. The paper warms in your hand and becomes a little warmer than your skin, as if permission has a temperature, and it's yours. You turn back toward the river, passing beneath another keystone. This one bears the cleanest engraving of all, the one you carry around disguised as breath. I am. You don't speak it out loud. You let your chest speak it by continuing to rise and fall at the new rate. You let your skin speak it by staying quiet. You let the back of your eyes speak it by refusing to scan the edges for trouble. The sentence settles into your spine like a coin into a slot that releases a door you didn't know could open with such a small sound. On the promenade, a low bridge invites you, not across water now, but across time. The kind called the bridge of incidents, the kind that builds itself as you step. The first plank appears under your foot just when you need it, and a word glows up through the wood grain. Send. You see yourself tomorrow morning sending a brief, clear note with no strain in it. You feel the yes it evokes even before it arrives. Next plank, answer. You watch your fingers typing a reply that sets a boundary like velvet and gets respected like law. Next plank, choose. You feel the relief of picking the option that matches your worth, and finding that the world adjusts its price to your self-valuation without an argument, because there isn't one. You keep walking. Planks appear. Accept, decline, rest, share, invoice, receive, thank. The bridge doesn't wobble. It doesn't hurry you. It doesn't end. It lands you gently back where you began, except now where you began has moved forward to meet you. You hear the ferryman clear his throat in that non-committal way. That means I'm here if you need me. And you see, with a private amusement, that you won't always take the boat anymore. Sometimes you'll walk the long way around. Because being carried is not the only kind of ease. Sometimes ease is simply not having to run. Either way, the river stays friendly. On your way back through the arch, the hall with the letterpress gives you one last nudge. You set a final card without thinking. It reads, unadorned, like breath. I am wealthy now. You pull the lever, the platen kisses the paper. Soft, sure. When you lift the card, you don't put it on the tray. You slide it into the inside pocket over your heart. It disappears not because it is gone, but because it is identical to what it rests against. The street beyond the arch has grown quieter. The lamps a little lower. The moths doing gentle mathematics with their wings. You walk the final lengths of promenade without needing to take in any more of the scenery. The scenery has taken you in. Your body carries the proof, a pelvis that sits heavy and satisfied, a chest that feels like a room with the windows open, a jaw that no longer rehearses arguments in its sleep. When you reach your room, the one your waking life recognizes, you don't quite step through a doorway so much as become one. The mattress accepts you. The pillow offers the same word the river offered, already arranged. The sheets settle over your shins like a promise fulfilled. Place your palm on your belly again and greet the tide. The ferryman's sentence repeats without voice, this time in the language of organs and fascia. Everything flows to the settled one. If any stray relics of the old stories drift by, The ones that used to arrive with sirens and hazard lights. They come now like small sleepy birds that perched on your windowsill out of habit. You smile at them and point with your eyes toward the night. You're free, you whisper. And because you believe yourself when you speak, they lift on two blinks and are gone. Let the back of your tongue relax. Let the thumbs soften at the knuckle. Let the small muscles around your ears relax until sounds arrive as guests, not captains. If a thought wants to check on the conveyor, on the drawers of repayments, on the pool at capacity, let it picture a single lamp left on in each room, bright enough for any midnight visitor to enter and do their work, warm enough to keep the air patient. Your work was to set the switch. It is set. Your decree was to feel it now. You did. Sleep is not escape. Sleep is the mint where your inner government stamps tonight's softness into tomorrow's coin, and you have just placed the die I am. Let the press run while you rest. Let the city of your life wake ahead of you and arrange itself to your measure. In the morning you will stand barefoot on the floor, and the floor will feel like the first yes of the day. You will breathe the simple breath. You will move through small doors that open the moment you touch them. And somewhere between the coffee and the first hello, you will notice the exact feeling from this river town touch your throat like sunlight. And you will recognize it without surprise. Received. Let your shoulders melt a little more than they think they're allowed to. Let the breath gather itself quietly, then unfurl low in the belly, long enough on the exhale that your body feels like it's setting something down. The space behind your eyes softens. Your tongue loosens and grows warm. Your hands forget they were ever supposed to grip. Now, without forcing anything, let a sound come to you. The faint, steady murmur of a night train far away. It isn't loud. It's the kind of sound you only hear when you're safe enough to notice it. You're already standing on the platform. The air is cool in the pleasant way. A freshly ironed shirt is cool. Lamps float in a neat line, each one casting an amber oval of comfort onto the stone. A clock hangs high under the eaves, not rushing you, only witnessing. Across the tracks, a dark meadow breathes. Crickets write soft parentheses around the moment. The train glides in with no screech, just a deep purr and a whisper of brakes taking care of you. The car that stops in front of you has your name worked into the enamel like a secret only you and the night share. A porter in a tidy jacket steps down and smiles the smile people give when they've been expecting you. He doesn't ask where you're going. He just holds the door and nods toward the sign above it, sleeping car assumption class. You step up, your foot finds the metal tread exactly where it should be. The train smells faintly of cedar and clean linen, and the soft sweetness of something baked earlier today and put under a cloth to keep it warm. A conductor appears, not officious, not stern, someone whose job is to make sure people get where they meant to go. He holds an old-fashioned punch and a small leather case. Ticket? He asks, but his voice makes it sound like a game you've already won. You put your hand in your inside pocket and pull out a single, simple card you don't remember placing there tonight, and somehow have always owned. There's nothing printed on it, but two words, pressed deep enough to read by touch. I am. The conductor doesn't read it with his eyes. He reads it with the soft satisfaction of someone who knows a master password when he hears it in his bones. The punch clicks once, paid, and he hands the card back with a small bow. All set, he says. And as he walks on, you hear him greeting the next person with welcome, wealthy one, like a blessing that knows its target. Your compartment is small. In the generous way, a favorite coat is small. Everything you need fits perfectly. The bed is turned back. The sheets have that whispery weight that convinces muscles to give up the last bits of vigilance. A carafe of water sits under a glass dome. A note leans against it in your handwriting. Drink as you need, all is provided. On the bedside shelf is a little brass dial with 3 words around it. Worry, neutral, settled. The pointer currently leans toward neutral as a courtesy to habit. You touch it with one finger, and it swings to settled with a satisfying click that your diaphragm understands. Your body exhales a little more than you asked it to. The train lurches once like a cat shifting to get comfortable, then moves. The rhythm is generous, a soft two-beat that teaches the space between your ribs to expand and gather on time. Inhale, exhale. I am provided. The window frames the night. Fields go by like dark silk. Here and there, a farmhouse window offers a square of gold to say, you're not alone. Beside the bed is a small leather-bound logbook, embossed in gold, bridge of incidents. You open it and find the first page already written in a hand that is both yours and kinder than you've ever been with yourself. It lists upcoming stops in an easy column with ample margins. Cleared, approved, credited, invited, early, raised, paid in full. Attached to each is a time that reads soon, and the note weather favorable. You don't have to memorize anything. The train remembers for you. A gentle chime sounds in the corridor, an invitation, not an announcement, and you wander to the end of the car. A door marked mail opens onto a bright, orderly room, where canvas bags arrive along a conveyor and open themselves without fuss. Inside are letters stamped with familiar letterheads that used to tighten your jaw. Every envelope, before it's sorted, passes under a warm light that reads the feeling you'll have when you receive it. And if the feeling reads tight, the machine hums once and rewrites the sentence until it reads relief. You watch one envelope. You recognize change its face under the lamp, numbers rearranging themselves with the mercy of logic. And when it comes out the other side, it carries a simple, friendly stamp. Settled, the clerk at the table, who looks like the older, unbothered version of you, glances up with a conspirator's grin. We only deliver what matches your decree, they say, tapping a small placard on the desk. Inner words are law. You leave the room without needing to help. The machine has your cadence now. Farther on, a door labeled baggage opens into a space lined with wooden slats that smell like orange oil. A few old trunks sit on low trolleys. The porter, same jacket, same dignified ease, lifts the lid of one and lets you see inside. It's packed with old stories, phrases you picked up without noticing, pictures of moments when you decided life was hard, ledgers with columns headed shouldn't and can't. You run a hand over a page, and the ink lifts at your touch like steam, leaving a mirror. The porter offers you a felt tip with gold ink. Revision, you nod. On a page that once shouted final notice, you write, slowly, with the care your own heart deserves, thanked. On another you cross out owing and write forgiven. And as the letters dry, the paper loses that brittle crackle and becomes the kind of texture you want in a good book. The porter closes the trunk and rolls it toward a door marked compost. Everything becomes ground for growth, he says. You believe him because your breathing says yes. You pass through a galley where a cook hums a tune your grandmother might have hummed when she knew the meal would be ready exactly when it needed to be. He sets a bowl on the counter without looking, and somehow it's the exact thing that reminds your body of enough. You take a spoonful, and the taste is steady, honest, undramatic. The flavor of all my needs are met. He pours you a small cup of something dark and kind. On the rim, in tiny raised letters again, you sip. It lands right behind your sternum and spreads like a little campfire that knows how not to go out. Back in your compartment, the window now shows a slow crossing over a long trestle bridge. Far below, a river folds and refolds itself with the contentment of a great animal that has found its favorite place to sleep. On the bridge's steel girders, words glow in a soft enamel sheen as you pass, ordinary verbs made holy. Send, answer, choose, invoice, receive, thank. Each word is a plank, placed where you'll need it tomorrow. Not before, not after. Precisely on time. The feeling in the compartment is not triumph. It is housekeeping done well. Smooth sheets, a swept floor, the simple beauty of nothing outstanding, a soft knock at your door. The conductor again, holding a clipboard, and a pencil sharpened just now, the shavings still curled on the saucer in his other hand. We do seating for breakfast in the order of completed decrees, he says, smiling because he enjoys the absurdity of rail metaphors, more than you'd expect from a man with a hat. Would you like to record tonight's? He turns the clipboard to face you. It already has a line with the date and a blank after a colon. Your hand writes without the flutter of asking permission. I am wealthy now. He nods like a gardener who knows rain when he smells it. Window seat then, he says, checks a box, and disappears down the hall, leaving the faint smell of freshly sharpened cedar and ink that dries instantly because it knows its job. The train enters a tunnel. Sound changes in the way. Sound always changes when stone listens. You feel the roof of your mouth relax, and with it, your pelvic floor, two parts of you that have worried on each other like unspoken siblings, finally telling the truth. In the tunnel, images come unbidden, not as wishes, as previews. Your hand tomorrow, moving a slider on a banking app with no pulse in your throat. Your voice on the phone, calm and warm, naming a number and watching the other person meet it without a contest. An email arriving with the subject line, we've increased your rate, and your body responding with a familiar yes that never raises its voice. The tunnel releases the sound back into night, and the relief sits down inside you, like someone taking the open chair at your table. You find a little staircase and climb to a tiny observation dome where the stars feel close enough to be colleagues. The dome houses a brass instrument that looks like an astrolabe married to a radio. It has a single knurled dial labeled only with feelings. You turn it to dignity. Something in the bones of the car answers with a low, satisfied hum. You turn it to play. The wheels below respond with a note lighter by a degree. At generosity, the whole dome warms a fraction, as if someone moved a candle nearer without casting a shadow. You leave the dial on generosity and rest your palm over it. The instrument thrums gently under your skin, setting a rhythm you will wake up already knowing. There is a last car on the train, a quiet, almost secret one, paneled in dark wood, hung with maps that show not geography but timelines. Thin threads connect moments, like constellations connect stars. Each thread is tagged in small tidy script. Met by chance, replied on a whim, looked again, said no to the worst thing, said yes to the right thing, waited an hour, turned left. You trace one strand, and without needing to see the whole pattern, you understand that everything is already weaving. The map isn't a plan you have to memorize. It is a picture of inevitability. Once you've chosen your state, a little brass plaque at the end of the car says, in case of doubt, sit down. You sit. The doubt that had been pacing the hall like a dog that only knows one trick lies down at your feet, sighs once, and falls asleep so hard its paws twitch, while it dreams of running toward you instead of away from you. You make your way back to your berth. The sheets are now warmer by exactly the right amount. The train has learned your preference in a single night. On the small shelf, the brass dial continues to point to settled like a compass. Finally relieved not to be lied to, you slide under the covers, and every place your body meets the bed says, welcome back. The rhythm of the tracks has simplified into the cleanest sentence in your life. I am wealthy. Now, I am wealthy. Now, breath fits into it like meaning fits into a word. Outside, a distant farm dog barks twice, and then remembers that the stars do not require guarding. If a thought knocks, it's one of the good ones, the practical kind that comes without urgency. It sets tomorrow's mug by the coffee machine, it places your keys in the bowl. It drafts a calm two-sentence message that will receive a yes because it was written by a person who has already received. You don't get out of bed to do any of it. The train takes dictation. Somewhere down the line the mail car sorts, the baggage car composts, the kitchen keeps something warm under a cloth. The conductor passes once more, quiet as a librarian at last call. He tucks a small card into the pocket of your door. You don't have to open it to know what it says, but you do anyway, because pleasure is also a discipline. Arrival 7:07 at station. Already mine. Weather favorable. Connections arranged. You set the card back in the pocket and let your eyes close the way a book closes when the reader trusts the ending. Sleep isn't the absence of life here. It's the mint where your decree is pressed into coin. The dies are set. The metal is perfect at the temperature of your body. The press runs on the current of your steady breath. I am wealthy. Now, the car rocks. The rails sing. Morning is already walking to meet you, carrying coffee in one hand and a stack of ordinary blessings in the other, wrapped in brown paper and tied with string, stamped 3 times in red ink, so there is no confusion at customs, of course. Let your jaw unhinge from habit, the tongue resting like a small warm animal in a safe den. Let your breath gather low and slow, as if you were sipping from a quiet lake through a reed. The back of your neck lengthens. Your shoulders slide down 2 notches. Your hands uncurl until the fingers feel like soft river grass. Every exhale is an invitation. Every inhale is a reply. Nothing to chase, nothing to prove, only the soft return to the center of you. A faint glow appears behind your closed eyes, not bright, just the kind of light that happens when a neighbor turns on a porch lamp a few houses down. You're standing at the edge of a city that only exists after midnight, a city built from your better assumptions. Streets meet at generous angles. Windows hold a warm amber patience. Even the cobblestones have that freshly rained-on look, without actually being wet. Somewhere, a clock chimes, not as a command but as a friendly reminder. Time is your collaborator. You begin to walk, but it feels more like the ground carries you forward because it knows where you want to go. A cat glides along a wall like a living comma. A baker pulls trays from an oven, and the air smells like crust and honey, and enough. On a corner, an old man in a cap tips his head to you with the exact respect you've always owed yourself. He knows you belong here. Everyone in this city knows. An archway opens into a long colonnade, lined with small shops, whose doors are propped open with stacks of old ledgers tied in twine. Above each door hangs a discreet brass sign in a handwriting that looks suspiciously like yours on a very good day. You step into the first shop. The bell over the door makes a sound so perfectly tuned it feels like a hand smoothing the fur the right way. The counter is polished wood. Behind it, shelves upon shelves of journals, your former ideas about money catalogued and indexed. A clerk looks up, kind eyes, sleeves rolled, like a friend who saved you a seat. We've kept everything for you, they say, so you can keep only what serves. They set a thick ledger on the counter and open it to a page that once made your chest tight, except now the ink looks pale and tired, like it's ready to fade. The clerk hands you a pen heavy enough to steady the wrist. Same rule as always, they say with a half smile. Your word is final. You look down and see the line item that used to bark at you. Due, outstanding, overdue. Your breathing remains slow. You cross out the word due and in large clear letters write, paid in full. The pen glides like a skate on first ice. As the new words dry, the page subtly changes beneath them. Paper softening, edge uncrackling, and the entire line reclasps itself around the truth you've declared. The clerk stamps the margin with a round, quiet seal that reads, accepted by the subconscious. You feel a small, friendly click, deep in your diaphragm. The click of something settling into place where it always meant to live. Out on the colonnade again, you drift into the second shop. It's a tailor's, but the bolts of fabric are woven from moods instead of thread. Dignity in slate blue, ease in cream, generosity in a warm, surprising gold that somehow isn't loud. The tailor wraps a soft tape around your shoulders, not to measure you, to bless your posture. We cut feeling to fit, she says, eyes smiling. What would you like to wear to sleep? You choose a lining of quiet certainty, a shell of friendly confidence, and pockets so deep they feel like secret courtyards. The tailor hums. With 3 neat snips and a fluid seam, she hands you an invisible garment, and you shrug into it without moving your physical body at all. It fits like truth. The room brightens by a shade nobody else would notice, and you realize the light is responding to your state because it always does. Another door, another bell. This room is sparse, just a long table with stacks of crisp envelopes and a little machine that listens. You sit. The machine is simple. A brass horn, a paper slot, a single switch labeled receive. The attendant nods toward it. Speak into it the sentence that will be delivered to you in the outer world. Your breath stays easy. You lean toward the horn and say, exactly as you mean it, I am wealthy now. Your voice goes in like a stone dropping into a still pond. No splash, just rings expanding in every direction without end. The machine hums and slides an envelope toward you. Inside is the sentence you just spoke, but set in the clean typeface of reality. You touch the paper, and the wave that moves through your belly is not excitement, not effort, just the unforced yes of something true being acknowledged. The attendant gathers a stack of similar envelopes addressed to versions of you across your life. Tomorrow you, next week you, the you who will glance at a phone and smile, ties them with twine and places them gently into a courier pouch marked dispatch at dawn. You return to the street, and the city opens further, as if it has been unlocking itself one courtyard at a time in response to your steadiness. A set of stairs descends to a subterranean hall, cool as a church on a summer afternoon. Candles glow in niches. They smell faintly of beeswax and clean wood. Along the walls stand safes, hundreds, thousands, each with a brass plate engraved with a phrase you recognize not with your mind, but with your bones. Safety, sufficiency, provision, surplus, play. You lay your palm on the safe called provision and feel the combination tumblers inside turn on their own until they click into alignment. The door swings open without protest. Inside are not stacks of cash, but neatly packed experiences. The taste of laughing while paying something easily. The texture of signing your name on a document that favors you. The sound of someone saying, of course, happy to accommodate, and meaning it. The god, old, unhurried, wearing a vest that has seen seasons, nods toward a velvet tray. Withdraw as feeling, he says. It will convert to form later. You lift a handful of experiences, and they melt into your palm like warm snow, soaking straight into your chest, where they reorganize the air. You move on. A door of frosted glass slides open, and you're in a workshop that hums with the low, intelligent music of machines that serve rather than demand. On benches lie unassembled incidents, brackets of conversation, screws of timing, quiet motors of chance, each tagged with a small card, the coffee you didn't plan but needed, the message answered at the exact minute, the invitation sent without effort, the mistake that bends into favor, the no that makes room for the right. Yes, a foreman in rolled shirt sleeves and safety glasses smiles, the way people smile when they love their work. Your order came through, he says, checking a clipboard where your I am sits at the top like a project brief. No one dares misinterpret. We're building your bridge of incidents. No rush, precision over speed. But you'll feel the planks arrive under your feet, right on time. You run your fingers over a line of polished oak, labeled a stranger, mentions exactly the thing you needed to hear. Another piece, long sturdy, reads you pause, then answer calmly, and the whole conversation changes direction. You don't have to memorize the inventory. The workshop will deliver each piece to the roadway, the moment you step. You look up. There's a skylight. On the glass, condensation writes the oldest sentence in the newest script, as within, so without. It evaporates and then returns, like breath on a window, like tides. Back upstairs, the night has deepened into that thick velvet hour, when laughter in far rooms becomes a lullaby. A fountain in a small square whispers a pattern that your lungs repeat without thinking. In, out, I am. Now you sit on the lip of the fountain. Coins glow at the bottom, not because they're shiny, but because every coin is a small promise kept. A child toddles by holding a parent's fingers. The child stops and turns, as if to bless you for reasons you cannot possibly explain to anyone but your future self. The parent meets your eye, and for a second you both recognize a fellow traveler who has learned something important and simple and permanent. We assume first, then we see, a soft wind moves the leaves. You follow it down a narrow lane where the city gives way to a greenhouse that never closes. The door breathes as it opens. Inside, vines drape themselves from ribs of iron and glass. The air is warm, plant wet, softly loamy. Hanging from strings are tags with words, thoughts you've planted on purpose, and thoughts that arrived in old weather. Gardeners in linen aprons roam quietly, pruning what doesn't serve, training what does. One gardener, hair wild, eyes kind, hands you a pair of small golden shears that feel like tools you've used 1,000 times in dreams. Anything that says later, she says, we cut. You move through the aisles and gently snip away phrases like soon, someday, when I finally. Each snip is a relief in the hips. In their place, you tie fresh tags that say now, already, mine, done. The plants respond immediately. New shoots, small flowers that smell faintly like the mornings you like best. A boy waters the base of a tree whose leaves tinkle like coins in a glass jar. It always grows faster, he says shyly. When you call it by its right name, you rest your hand on the bark. Wealth, you say, not loudly, not greedily, just correctly. The tree answers by becoming what you've remembered it is. You step out of the greenhouse and the sky has opened its palm. Stars spread like salt thrown by a chef who knows what flavor is for. The city's highest terrace is waiting with a long table set for you alone. Not indulgence, readiness. At each place setting sits an object from your near future. A key fob whose plastic feels like permission, a pen that writes on first touch, a simple white card with your name embossed in raised letters you can read with your fingertips in the dark. You take the seat at the head, not because it's special, but because it's accurate. The chair fits your back and lengthens your spine without asking. In the center of the table is a shallow bowl filled with small, smooth stones. Etched on each stone is a verb your life uses when it's telling the truth: receive, allocate, choose, circulate, thank, invest, give, enjoy, replenish. You take one stone and hold it in your palm. The heat of your skin wakes the word etched into it, and the word wakes a corresponding action in your tomorrow. Like a switch flipped in a far, friendly room, you place the stone in your pocket without weight. It becomes a warmth in your belly that you can find just by remembering. You stand. Walking now is different. The ground agrees with you. Somewhere far to your right, a freight yard shifts, cars coupling with a deep thunk that your lower back likes. The city brings you to a tall building whose lobby is quiet as a library and bright as a laboratory. No security guard challenges you. He lifts his chin in greeting and does not ask for your name because he knows it and because the building is your nervous system in another form. An elevator opens like a hand. Inside, instead of numbers, the buttons are states of being. You press the one that says sufficient, because there's no virtue in pretending you need to deserve what you already are. The doors close with a seal that tells your shoulders they can stop being doors. When the doors open, you step into a room with windows on every side, day and night at once, clouds moving at all their different altitudes. In the center sits a clean desk with 2 drawers. The left drawer is labeled Old Evidence. The right drawer is labeled New Facts. You open the left. It's full of things that used to argue against you. Memories of times you felt small in front of numbers. The taste of asking with a tremble in your voice. Faces that winced. You thank the drawer for its service and close it with a soft finality that echoes all the way down the years. You open the right drawer. Inside are only 3 items, but they are enough. A bank statement that reads the way a meadow looks in June. A letter that begins, "We're pleased to inform you," and a note in your own quick hand that says, "Remember, ease isn't luck, it's alignment." You put the note in your pocket with the stone. Both rest over the same place. Your center, you're steady, you're unarguable. Across the room, a door opens onto a balcony where the air tastes like iron and rain. A river moves below, black and reflective, pulling city lights into silky ribbons. Your hands rest on the railing. The metal is the perfect temperature, cool enough to be real, warm enough to be yours. You don't speak. The river does. It tells you in a language older than thought that circulation is the law, that holding is not hoarding when your name for holding is stewarding, that giving and receiving are the same muscle contracting and releasing with perfect blood flow. A small tugboat pushes a barge upriver. Its wake fans into a V that reaches the bank and taps your shoe with a tiny kiss. You smile. The river smiles back the way rivers do, by continuing to keep its promises. Back inside, the elevator returns you to the ground, like a handshake. The lobby clock reads late. In that forgiving way, a good clock reads. Accurately, without accusation. As you step into the street again, the city rotates itself subtly. So the way home is the easy way. You pass a newsstand where the paper's headlines are all variations on a theme. Approved, ahead of schedule. Record high. The vendor gives you a nod that includes a blessing and a joke. You again, he says. Eyes bright. You always come through at night. Your door waits with the humility of a faithful friend. You slip inside your actual room, your actual bed, your actual breath, and here's the part your body loves most. Nothing has to be held up anymore. The mattress takes your weight without commentary. The covers mold to your shins and the curve behind your knees. A draft that has annoyed you before slides across your cheek tonight like a cool hand saying, "Sleep, I've got the next few hours." On the inside of your ribs, the city still glows like embers in a hearth that knows how to keep a house warm until morning. Your jaw stays soft. Your breath keeps its lake calm rhythm. If a stray thought approaches, it approaches like a friend arriving late to a party who knows to take off their shoes and whisper. It leaves a practical gift on the counter. An email subject line perfectly worded. A phrase for a conversation that opens doors without pushing. A simple number that feels like the right price, because it is. You do not get up to write anything down. The city keeps your minutes. Your inner ear begins to hear what it will hear for years if you let it, the steady call and response that runs through a wealthy nervous system. Inhale, I am. Exhale, wealthy now. Inhale, provided. Exhale, thank you. The rhythm wears grooves in the rails of the night. The train of your life takes those curves like it was built for them, because it was. Sleep comes the way rain comes to a field that has been prepared, quietly, correctly, in the amount that helps things grow. As you drift, there's one last, tiny, physical sensation. Almost like the moment a safe's dial lands on the final number and the bolt gives. It's your heart agreeing with your words, not dramatic, just the clean mechanics of truth. And somewhere, because you declared it, an envelope is already in the bag. A key is already in the bowl. A yes is already halfway to your inbox, walking with good posture and a smile. Let the city keep working. Let the gardeners keep pruning. Let the workshop deliver the next plank exactly when your foot arrives. Your only work now is rest. Your only sentence now is the one that writes itself with your breathing. I am wealthy. Now. And the night, loyal as gravity, answers, of course. All right. Breathe first. Don't rush this. You and I are about to build something together. Not a scene to watch, but a state to live in. Let the breath find its own rhythm. Let the jaw loosen. Let the small muscles around your eyes untie their knots. Feel the ground beneath you, the subtle, faithful weight of the earth that has never once failed to hold you. This is your foundation. This is where tonight's vision will grow. Now imagine yourself standing at the threshold of a grand library of consciousness. The air is cool and scented faintly of cedar and old parchment. Wisdom stored in wood and ink. The walls stretch upward, higher than cathedrals, their shelves heavy with worlds, not just words. Every book here is a life, a possible version of you, written in the living language of assumption. Some shelves glow softly, like they're alive. Others are dim, resting. This place contains every reality your imagination has ever touched. Some briefly, others often. You step across the marble threshold, and with that single step, you leave behind the small, anxious mind that says how. It cannot follow you in here. Only the one who says I am may enter. And tonight, you walk as that one. To your left, a spiral staircase winds upward into shadow. Each step carries an inscription, not in ink, but in feeling. You read them with your feet, not your eyes. Faith precedes sight. The unseen births the seen. Assume and let creation follow. As you climb, the air thickens. Not heavy, but pregnant, full, alive, with possibility waiting to be named. At the top, you emerge into a circular chamber, lit by floating globes of warm light. In the center, a great table carved from onyx, veined with gold that seems to move like gentle lightning beneath its surface. Upon this table rests a single open book, not yet written. Its pages shimmer, faintly reflecting your face, not as you see it in mirrors, but as the soul sees itself, radiant, calm, complete. Above the table, words hover, glowing softly in the air like constellations. The law of assumption. You know without question that this book records your living declarations. Not what you hope, not what you wish, but what you accept as true. Tonight, you will write your wealth into its pages. A voice, quiet as candlelight, speaks from within you. Creation is finished. All things exist. Choose what is yours, and clothe it in feeling. You step closer. The pages ripple, eager. But before you write, you must see. For the subconscious accepts not words alone, but vision clothed in sensation. And so the chamber dims, and the first scene begins to bloom before you. You're standing in your future home. Not grand by others' standards, but perfect by yours. The light that spills through the windows is soft, golden, and honest. The light of a morning where nothing is lacking. You walk barefoot across floors that hum faintly with warmth. Each object, each surface, whispers chosen. You run a hand along the back of a chair. Smooth wood, steady craftsmanship. A small vase sits on the counter, holding fresh flowers that you didn't buy impulsively. You bought them because abundance is now your default expression of love for life. You glance toward the kitchen. The table is set, not as performance, but as pleasure. You pour coffee from a pot whose scent carries that same undertone of peace. Everything I need, I have. Now you hear a sound. It's the soft ding of a phone, a message received. You reach for it, calmly, knowing already what it will be. You see the notification, funds deposited. No rush of shock, no disbelief, just that serene, cellular recognition, of course. You open the app. The numbers greet you like old friends. You don't stare at them. You feel them, warm against your awareness, solid as earth. There is no grasping, no trembling, only gratitude, gentle and quiet, the kind that hums beneath the surface of your day. From somewhere deeper in the house, a voice, maybe a loved one, maybe a version of yourself you're still meeting, calls softly, "Breakfast's ready." You smile. The kind of smile that travels all the way to the lungs, and set the phone down without urgency. The world is tending itself now. You walk toward the table, and with every step, you remember, this is not a wish. This is the harvest of a seed you planted long ago in imagination. And as you sit, you can almost see it, in the air around you, that faint shimmer of divine fulfillment that whispers, you are the cause. You are the source. You are the wealth. The scene begins to fade, not vanish. It dissolves into light, absorbed into your subconscious. It has been accepted. The seed has taken root. You find yourself again in the circular chamber. The book before you is no longer blank. Words are forming across the page in your own hand, not ink, but light. Tonight, I assumed wealth, and wealth became flesh. But the vision is not yet complete. For wealth, as Neville taught, is not merely money, it is freedom, ease, confidence. The felt knowing that all channels serve the one source within you. And so the chamber shifts again. You're walking now through a marketplace, open and alive. Sunlight spills over stalls lined with fruit, bread, fabrics, the abundance of life in motion. But you are not here to buy. You are here to see. Because this market is a mirror of your mind, each stall a reflection of an inner assumption. One overflows with opportunity, fresh, ripe, reachable. Another hums with laughter, clients who want what you offer, partnerships built not on strain but on shared joy. Coins change hands, effortlessly, joyfully. No one clutches, no one begs. This is the world built by one who assumed, I am the source of supply. You walk slowly, your hands behind your back, breathing in the scent of oranges, fresh bread, jasmine in bloom. Every sense confirms the truth. Life is generous, and so are you. A merchant waves to you. Good morning. Your usual? You nod. And realize your usual is excellence, ease, quality. You hand over coins, and they multiply in the giving. Because giving is receiving, and in this world every outflow calls its inflow home. The market fades, the scent lingers, and you are back before the open book. Now the voice returns, soft but commanding. Seal it in feeling, fall asleep in the end fulfilled. You place your hands upon the page, and the glow beneath your palms spreads, warmth rising through your wrists, into your arms, across your chest. It settles in your heart, steady, radiant, sure. This is the pulse of assumption. It beats now in rhythm with creation itself. As you withdraw your hands, the book closes itself with a sigh, not of ending, but of completion. Gold letters shimmer on the cover. It is done. You turn, and the spiral staircase leads downward. But you do not descend. You glide, gently, as if the very air carries you. Each step whispers as you pass, already arranged, already done, already yours. And now you are standing once again in the quiet of your room. The night hums softly beyond the walls. Your body, heavier, yes, but in the holy way of rest. Your breath, slower, richer, a tide returning home. You have written tonight in the book of life. You have clothed your words in vision, and what the subconscious has accepted, no outer fact can deny. Whisper now, not to the world, but to the seed within. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am provided for now. Feel it, not as hope, but as truth. Because it is truth, let the breath smooth out, let the edges of the body dissolve. Sleep now, not as escape, but as creation's final act. For the moment you surrender to it, the unseen begins to weave. And when dawn touches your eyes, you will awaken in the world your soul has built. And it will greet you with one word. A word spoken by sunlight, by coffee steam, by every face you meet. Welcome, wealthy one. Let your shoulders melt a little more than you usually allow. Let the tongue fall from the roof of the mouth. Unclench the hands. There's nothing to grip right now. What you want is already coming closer, because you are softening into it. Breathe in through the nose and feel the breath cool at the tip, then warm as it leaves. Let each exhale be a small surrender, a quiet yes. With eyes closed, feel the sensation of standing at the edge of a quiet city at dusk. Street lights bloom one by one like patient stars. You hear faraway laughter, a door closing, a bicycle rolling by. The air carries that comfortable evening temperature, not cold, not hot. The kind that says the day did its work, and there is nothing urgent left to prove. Ahead of you is a slate-gray building with no sign, only an old brass handle polished by many certain hands. You reach for it. It's cool and perfectly weighted. When you pull, the door swings open on oiled hinges, inviting you to step into a hush that feels like velvet. Inside is a lobby lit by amber lamps. An elevator waits already open, the interior paneled in walnut, the buttons unlabeled except for one that glows softly with a single word. Assume you step in. The doors close with that satisfying seal of privacy and possibility. The elevator begins to move, not down, not up, but inward. Your stomach doesn't drop. Your body feels perfectly supported, as if gravity itself were collaborating with your intention. When the doors open, you're in a long corridor lined with doors on either side. Each door carries an embossed plaque you can read without effort. The nearest one says not enough. Another says it's hard. Another says later. You feel no fear, only clarity. These doors don't belong to you anymore. You walk by them with the calm certainty of a homeowner, passing rooms they've already cleaned and closed for the season. At the end of the corridor, a pair of tall double doors wait. Their plaque is simple. Now, you push them open. You are in a vast, luminous hall, part workshop, part sanctuary. Overhead, skylights hold the last violet of evening. The air smells faintly of warm metal and fresh paper. Along one wall run presses, elegant, quiet machines, not churning, not grinding, but printing with grace. What they print doesn't look like ordinary money. They print forms, contracts, confirmations, congratulations, notices stamped paid in full, balance updates with numbers that feel like steady breath rather than adrenaline. Every page glides forward with the soft whisper of completion. You realize these presses are governed by dials mounted on a central console. The dials are labeled not with technical terms, but with inner postures. Gratitude, generosity, certainty, naturalness, rest. You step to the console. Your hands already know what to do. You turn gratitude a little higher. As you do, the light in the room warms, as if the sun briefly returned to bless the night. You turn generosity upward and feel the floor under your feet become more springy, supportive, abundant. You turn certainty until you feel that subtle click, the unmistakable sensation of alignment, and your breath deepens on its own, the way it does when something lands true in your body. Naturalness rises and your shoulders fall by another quiet inch. Rest nudges up and silence thickens in the sweetest way. The presses respond. Pages slide out with the confidence of events already arranged. A staff member you somehow recognize, even though you've never met, approaches with an envelope on a tray. They don't speak, they don't need to. The envelope is thick, cream-colored, sealed with a simple wax stamp, impressed with two words, I am. You break the seal and slide out a single crisp page. It reads, in your own handwriting, funds cleared, terms favorable, supply steady, ease established. There's a line beneath it that you didn't write. A line that feels older than paper. It was always you. You smile. Not with triumph, but with relief that tastes like clean water. The presses keep working. You allow yourself to walk among them, trailing your fingers along the smooth edges of the output, as if strolling through a field, running your hand along ripened wheat. There are statements with positive balances, notices of royalties, simple emails confirming, yes, we'd love to move forward, receipts that whisper, covered, and an itinerary for a trip you'd imagined and then let go. Now arranged with the easy efficiency of a friend who knows your preferences. The room makes no fuss about any of this. Nothing is a miracle here. Everything is normal. And that is the secret. It is normal to be provided for. It is normal to be guided. It is normal to have more than enough. A bell chimes once, low and reassuring, like a clock that measures ripeness rather than time. Another door opens within the hall, and you step into a smaller space that feels like the beating heart of the building. In the center, a table of pale stone with soft edges, as if years of hands have smoothed it with appreciation. On the table rest three objects: a small leather ledger, a fountain pen, and a shallow bowl of clear water reflecting a golden ceiling light. You pick up the ledger. When you open it, you see two columns on each page. The left column is titled Old Story, the right column Accepted. Now, on the first left line, you find unexpected expenses. Without forcing, with kindness you dip the pen and write in the right column. Unexpected inflows. As the words land, you hear in the next room a whisper of pages turning. The press is updating the script. On the next line left, clients delay payments. On the right you write, clients pay early and recommend me. Another rustle from the presses. Next left, if I ask, I'll be refused. On the right you write, when I ask, doors open because I already belong. The bowl of water winks, as if the surface itself nods. Yes. You keep going until the left side feels empty of power, just old husks. Then you close the ledger gently and place your open palm on its cover. A warmth rises through your hand, not hot, just present, like the temperature of a fresh loaf of bread. You sense the ledger dissolving its old ink into steam and carrying it up through the skylights, where it leaves no residue. It was only ever a temporary script. The new ink dries instantly. The room hums with the relief of a choice kept. From beyond the door you came through, a soft sound like footsteps on carpet draws your attention. A figure appears, not a stranger, not quite you. More like your embodiment walking toward you from the world you've chosen. They carry themselves with a confidence so quiet it can't be faked. They reach into their pocket and hand you a card. On it, your name, and beneath, a single line that names what you do in the world. Not your job title, but your essence as it touches lives. Reading it, you feel that click again. Your shoulders widen. The lungs expand. The card feels heavy with truth. You tuck it into your chest, and it sinks right through as if your heart were the pocket. The figure gestures toward a side corridor you hadn't noticed, a tunnel lit by tiny lights set low near the floor that guide you forward in a gentle curve. As you walk, the walls display living scenes like windows. In one window, you see yourself at a cafe, speaking with someone who found your work through someone else who praised you lavishly. The person across from you is bright-eyed, decisive. They say, we've set aside the funds. We were just waiting for you to say yes. You watch yourself nod, not over-eager, simply certain. A pen moves across a document. Hands shake, laughter that sounds like a bell. In the next window, you see your kitchen counter with a stack of envelopes. You open them one by one. Each carries that stamp again, paid in full. As you lift a letter, you can feel the texture of the paper. Hear the small pop of the seal as it gives. See the clean ink affirming closure. With each envelope, your body grows more slack in the best way, like a sail filling with a steady wind. Relief settles as a permanent resident rather than a guest. Another window shows your banking app, but you're not watching numbers the way a nervous person watches a weather radar. You glance with the same calm you'd glance at a loved one, sleeping safely. The balance reflects the certainty you chose. You swipe once to the budget you built, generous categories humming with room, giving, saving, enjoying, tending, surprising. Nothing tight, nothing starved. You inhale and each category seems to breathe with you. The corridor turns and opens into a room with a long window that overlooks a river at night. The surface catches city light in silver threads. You stand with your hands on the sill and understand this river is the movement of supply in your life. Not a straight pipe, not a single channel, but living water that knows how to find you around any stone. You remember all the times you believed supply had only one path, one job, one client, one launch. You smile and shake your head gently, the way you do when you realize you'd been listening to an old superstition. The river widens as you watch, not because you forced it, but because naturalness is still turned up on the console in the other room. The river takes that instruction and enlarges itself without effort. On the sill is a small wooden box with a velvet lining. Inside are stones, each etched with a verb. Ask, choose, receive, circulate, rest. You pick up ask, and it warms in your hand. You feel how asking from lack feels brittle, but asking from identity feels like placing an order in a restaurant where you're a cherished regular. You set, ask down, and pick up, choose. Your spine lengthens a millimeter. Your jaw relaxes. Choosing feels clean. You pick up, receive, and a soft heat blooms in your sternum. No resistance. No who me. Just yes. You pick up, circulate, and sense money as movement, not a trophy. Your hands tingle pleasantly, as if eager to give. Finally, rest, and your knees almost want to bend, because the floor offers itself like a bed. The lesson lands. You do not chase the river. You lie your request into it, and let the current deliver. The room darkens a degree, not ominously, like a cinema lowering lights to say attention. A train horn far off calls once, low and confident. You turn and notice a platform with a single carriage waiting. A sign on the carriage door reads, Bridge of Incidents. You step aboard. Inside, seats of supple leather, windows wide, quiet, except for the rhythm you've wanted all your life. The rhythm of momentum that requires nothing from you but presence. The carriage begins to roll. Out the window, the city becomes a ribbon of light. Landmarks glide by, but each one is not a building. It is an event you're about to live. Here a quick phone call that turns into an invitation. There an introduction at a gathering you almost didn't attend. Further on, a refund from an overpayment you'd forgotten. A check from rights on something you created years ago. An opportunity to collaborate that fits your temperament like a custom suit. You don't lunge toward the glass. You watch the inevitability of it with a gratitude that feels like honey in the chest. Across from you, someone in a conductor's cap stamps a small booklet in your hand. You look down and see it's a passport. The country printed inside, fulfilled. The entry stamp reads today's date. The conductor meets your eyes for a fraction and nods. You belong here. The train slows and glides into a station with a single platform. Above it, letters formed of that same velvet light spell, a sentence you've been waiting your whole life to accept without flinching. It's safe for you to be wealthy. You step off. Nobody applauds. Nobody needs to. This is not a performance. It's your homecoming. From the station, a short path leads through a small garden lit by lanterns. You notice details, because the wealthy mind has time to notice the way dew beads along a leaf's edge, the scent of basil when your sleeve brushes it, the tiny sound of a moth's wings like a pinch of silk. You sit on a stone bench. Beneath the bench is a simple wooden box. Inside, tools you now own. A clear envelope with a few sentences you can speak before sleep. I am supplied. I am chosen. I live from ease. Money is my obedient servant. A short ribbon of gold thread to tie around your wrist in imagination as a reminder of your vow to remain in the end. A small bell to ring inwardly when you catch yourself drifting into the old corridor, to bring you back to now. You tie the thread in imagination around your wrist. It's not jewelry, it's a promise. You ring the bell in your body, not out loud, just enough to feel that friendly jingle ripple through your diaphragm. The garden answers with the softest chime from nowhere and everywhere. Stand now. Place your palm over your heart and say in the tone you use when you tell a loved one a truth they already know. I am wealth. I am ease. I am provided for now. Feel the words press through the palm into the chest and dissolve into your bloodstream like warmth. Let the warmth travel the rivers of your body, across the shoulders, down the arms, into the hands, down the spine, through the hips, thighs, calves, feet, so that even your toes hum faintly with the signature of sufficiency. It's time to return, not because this place is finished, but because it has finished you for tonight. The path back is short, because you carry the hall, the presses, the river, the train within you now. You retrace the garden, the station, the corridor of windows, the ledger room, the press hall where pages still slide forward, steady as breath. You pass the console and glance at the dials. Gratitude, generosity, certainty, naturalness, rest, and realize they'll hold their settings while you sleep. The double doors close behind you with a seal that sounds like a goodnight kiss. The corridor of old doors is simply a hallway now. Plaques have gone dim, as if embarrassed to have ever claimed you. Back into the elevator, you press assume one more time, not as action, but as agreement. The return is instantaneous. You are in your room again. The night beyond the window is friendly. Your bed invites like a promise already kept. Lie down. Let the back of the heart spread into the mattress. Let the breath find its slow tide. The mind will try once or twice to summon old questions. Smile at it like you would at a child who's already been tucked in and just remembered one more story. Whisper inwardly, with the smile still there. It's done. As you drift, imagine one last simple sensory moment. A small green notification on your phone in the morning that you don't chase, that you don't even need. You just notice it the way you notice sunlight on the floor. Deposit received. Let the body register what that feels like. Now, not tomorrow. The tiny release in the belly. The throat softening. The invisible hand that was gripping the day, letting go. Fall into that feeling the way a stone falls into a lake. Not with strain, but with certainty. The surface closes gently over you. The water welcomes. The depths accept. Creation continues its faithful work while you rest. Sleep as the wealthy one sleeps, not to escape life, but to instruct it. And in the quiet between this breath and the next, the presses are already printing your world. And now, as you rest in this quiet knowing, let something settle deep inside you. That what you have just experienced is not fantasy, it is law. For what the mind accepts in imagination, the world must echo in form. And this truth has never belonged to one man alone. It has whispered through centuries, and it has been proven, not once, but again and again, by those who dared to feel before they saw, to believe before they touched, to assume before they received. Many, just like you, have walked this same path. They began in doubt, in small apartments, in quiet despair, in nights of unanswered prayers. But they chose to turn within, to plant the seed of a new assumption, and then to rest, and watch as the unseen began to shape their tomorrows. What you're about to hear are not stories of luck. They are testimonies of law, proof that imagination creates reality, that the word spoken in feeling becomes flesh. So as you listen, let each story remind you, you are not hoping, you are remembering. You are not wishing, you are creating. And the evidence of your assumption is already on its way. Now, listen closely, for the voices you will hear next could just as easily be your own, a few days, a few weeks, a few months from now, speaking from the other side of fulfillment. I'm telling you this in the most ordinary way I can, because the way it happened to me was not fireworks or angel choirs. It was a leaky studio, a noisy radiator, and a phone that kept lighting up with bills. I live in Queens. When this began, I had $38.42 in my checking account, 2 maxed out credit cards, and a habit of refreshing my banking app the way people check the weather before a storm, hoping the numbers would magically change while knowing I'd entered them myself. Rent was approaching. I had invoices out that were processing, which is the polite word for don't count on it, and a stomach that had learned the shape of worry. If you've ever stood in a grocery aisle, mentally subtracting items because you can't swing both coffee and detergent, you already know the feel of my life then. A friend sent me a lecture and said, listen before bed, don't debate it. It was Neville. I rolled my eyes because I'd been a faithful worshipper of appearances all my life. I believed in spreadsheets, not scriptures, but the hour was late, and anxiety had made me obedient. So I lay there, radiator ticking like a metronome of my panic, and I tried what he said. Enter that drowsy edge before sleep and assume the end as done. Not think of it, think from it. I didn't understand the difference then. I do now. The first night, I chose something simple. I pictured my hand holding my phone and seeing a green number instead of a red one. Not millions, just a steady, healthy balance and a little line underneath that said, available. I made it small enough to believe, but big enough to thrill. I picked $8,403.12 because the 12 felt oddly specific and real. I let the weight of the phone sit in my palm in imagination. I heard the faint buzz. I felt the warmth of the sheet against my legs and the way the pillow folds in at the cheek. I let the scene be short and looped it until it felt less like pretending and more like a memory I was replaying. I fell asleep. I dreamed nothing I can remember. In the morning, the actual number was still $38.42, but something had shifted. The old habit of bracing for impact wasn't as loud. It was like turning down a radio from 10 to 7. That afternoon, a client I'd written off months ago emailed, "Apologies for the delay, can we pick back up?" It wasn't money in hand, so the old me would have sneered. See, still nothing. Instead, I remembered the phrase that kept showing up in those lectures, bridge of incidents. I didn't fight it. I said, yes, let's, and I went back to the practice that night. Here's the part I would have argued with before this. Small proofs came faster than big ones, and they were weirder than I expected. A store credit I'd forgotten about was applied to my account. A friend accidentally Venmo'd me twice and told me to keep the second payment for the universe's handling fee. My mom, of all people, mailed me a check with a note that said, "This is for the version of you who stopped apologizing." How does my mother, who doesn't use words like assumption, write that sentence exactly when I start assuming? Everyone is you pushed out. Back then I didn't know that phrase, but I was living it. The real turn came on a bitter Tuesday night full of wind and loose trash, and me rehearsing the story of how everything is hard. I caught myself mid-sentence in my own skull and thought, if the subconscious hears feeling, not words, then I have been preaching lack with the fervor of a revivalist. I decided in that moment to change my inner speech. I sat on the edge of the bed and said the most dangerous words I could think of, because they were calm. I am wealthy. Not I will be. Not I hope to be. Not the wishful future tense that begs permission from a tomorrow that never arrives. I put it in the only tense the subconscious understands. Now, I let myself feel what that actually means. Relief, first, not lottery fireworks. Relief. My shoulders loosened. I took a deeper breath. I saw a kitchen counter with fruit I didn't have to count. Do not laugh at the fruit. It is a holy symbol when you've known the math of scarcity. I kept the practice embarrassingly simple. Each night, I slipped into that drowsy edge and fell from the end. Sometimes my scene was the bank app with that exact $8,403.12. Sometimes it was my landlord handing me a receipt stamped, paid in full, while I put my wallet back without flinching. Sometimes I heard a friend's voice, saying, "You did it." I didn't script speeches, I wanted texture. The scratch of paper, the click of the oven as it cools after dinner, the gentle weight of a bag that isn't heavy with guilt. Within a week, my biggest freelance client cut their budget and paused my retainer. The old religion of appearances grabbed its megaphone. See? Evidence. You are a fool. The new loyalty I was learning said, bridge. I went for a walk in the cold because my apartment felt small, and as I passed an alley, a gust of wind slapped a flyer into my legs. It was for a local business incubator looking for copywriters for a 3-month campaign, paid flat fee, portfolio building, introductions to founders. I would have missed the application date if the wind hadn't literally delivered it to my knees. I went home, wrote the sample piece at my tiny table, and submitted. I didn't beg the universe for a reply. I assumed the introduction had already happened, and I fell asleep in that feeling, the aftertaste of a good meeting, that small buzz behind the ribs that says done. They hired me. The check came in 2 parts, and the first part closed the rent gap that month. The second part arrived with a handwritten note. Thank you for making this feel easy. You cannot convince me that sentence was not my own assumption coming home wearing somebody else's handwriting. Easy was exactly the feeling I had been choosing in the dark. Everyone is you pushed out. There were setbacks I now call edits. Once, I sat on the floor with my back against the oven because it was the warmest place in the room, and cried a very human cry when a promised payment didn't clear. I gave myself 10 minutes to be a citizen of that country. Then I stood up and did revision. I replayed the email in imagination. Not, "We regret the delay," but "Funds have posted. Thank you for your patience." I read that revised sentence out loud to the empty kitchen until it sounded like a line from a movie I'd seen 1,000 times. The next day, the client wrote, "Apologies, bank error. Funds have posted." The words weren't identical, but the fact was, if this were a movie, you'd say the screenwriter laid it on too thick. In life you say, "Of course." As my mental diet changed, so did the conversations I tolerated, especially the silent ones. I stopped telling friends long tales about how expensive everything is, not to be fake positive, but because I refused to rehearse poverty. I can't afford it became I don't choose that today. Money is hard became money serves me by many channels. If that sounds like semantic glitter, try it for a week. Watch your body chemistry shift when your mouth stops agreeing with lack. I started a small ritual that made me laugh at first and then felt like stealth magic. I put a single, crisp bill, $100, into my wallet and decided I would never spend it. I carried it like a private instruction to my subconscious. There is always something left over. When I reached for my wallet at a deli, my fingers brushed that solidity, and I felt the signature of abundance, not empty. It wasn't the bill itself, it was the message. The subconscious is obedient like soil. It doesn't judge the seed, it just grows what you plant. The amounts began to grow. An old colleague called with a quick thing that paid more than my retainer ever had, and took half the time because I wasn't vibrating need through the keyboard anymore. I revised a humiliating memory with an old boss, one of those meetings where you leave and practice comebacks in the shower. In imagination, I changed the posture of the room, softened my own jaw, heard him say, "I was wrong about you." 2 weeks later, he wrote, asking if I could step in on a project, because he trusted my voice. That sentence carried the same perfume as my revision. The external world felt less like a fortress and more like my own house, rearranging the furniture. One Saturday morning, I woke up before my alarm because a sentence had landed whole in my mind during the night like a delivered package. It is done. No angels, no trumpets, just the soft certainty of already. I made coffee, opened the banking app, and there it was, not $8,403.12, but $8,481.90. I laughed like a kid who finds an extra fry at the bottom of the bag. The number was different, the meaning the same. That afternoon, I went to the store and bought detergent and coffee without playing subtraction in the aisle. I put fruit, peaches, the expensive kind, in the basket, and didn't whisper apologies to the universe. I walked home with a paper bag that made the right sound when the street was quiet. Around this time, I met the person I call my bridge angel. She's a project manager with a Rolodex disguised as a brain. Our first conversation felt like two puzzle pieces clicking. She said, "I've been looking for someone who writes the way you do." I wanted to cry, because for years I'd been telling the silence, "They're looking for me," and here it was, spoken back to me with lipstick and bus schedule breath. She introduced me to 3 founders. One became a monthly client. Another paid me for a single day more than I used to make in 2 weeks. The third asked what my dream scope looked like, and then said, "Let's do that." I walked home on legs that felt like music. Please hear me. I did not hustle harder. I did not start waking at 4 a.m. to optimize my destiny. I slept on purpose with a command on my tongue. Every night, no matter how human the day, I returned to the gate called sets. I made a small scene and wore it until it fit. A bank app, a paid in full. A friends, you did it. Relief first, then ease. Then a quiet confidence that felt like a well-lit kitchen at night. Sometimes I'd fall asleep before I finished the scene. I learned that falling asleep in the feeling is the whole point. You hand the seed to the only power that never slumbers. There were detours that used to scare me. A client ghosted, and instead of collapsing, I said aloud, "Another door is already open." and I went to make eggs. 10 minutes into breakfast, an old inquiry resurfaced with the subject line, "Are you available?" I rewired the sequence in my mind: loss, then bridge, then better. I treated anxiety like weather. I didn't deny it, I refused to make it my address. At the 90-day mark, which I only know because I keep a little proof log for my future doubtful self, I took a train to visit my mother. I stopped by the bank because the habit of scarcity still made me prefer cashier's checks for large things, as if paper were safer than pixels. The teller smiled and said, "You're set." She had no idea how holy those words were to my ears. I went back outside and sat on a cold stone ledge and cried the clean kind of tears. Not desperation. Gratitude. The kind where you can breathe while you're crying. What changed inside me looks simple on paper and feels like a miracle in ribs and lungs. I stopped rehearsing poverty. I stopped placing wealth in the future. I stopped asking like a beggar and started declaring like a son. I shifted from thinking of money to thinking from wealth. The outer followed because it must. The subconscious does not argue. It obeys the dominant feeling, and feeling is a garment you can put on. Some nights it was roomy, some nights it fit tight across the chest, but I wore it until it became mine. Here is a moment I keep for the days when I forget. I was in line at the bodega behind a woman paying with coins. A month earlier, that had been me. I felt the old empathy and the new authority at the same time. When it was my turn, I bought her milk and bread without making a performance of it. I walked home with my small bag and the quiet sentence that has become the backbone of my days. I am provided for, so I provide. Wealth felt less like a number and more like a circulation, like blood moving through a body that knows it is alive. You ask for specifics, because testimony without receipts sounds like poetry. Here they are. In 3 months, I paid off one credit card entirely and cut the second in half. My rent is on autopay and doesn't frighten me when I see the debit. The bank balance has lived above the number I used to choose in imagination long enough that I sometimes forget to check it for days. I have a recurring contract that fits my skill like a glove, and 2 on-call clients who text, "Can I send you something?" and do not mean a PDF. My mother tells me I sound rested on the phone. I bought a duvet that feels like a decision I used to think belonged to other people. I give. I give without running the old math that counted generosity as loss. If you've known the prison of counting, you know how free that sentence is. Was it all straight lines? No, bridges curve. Some planks creak. I still have human days where the old program clears its throat and asks to speak. But the axis has shifted. My default inner sentence is not, "It's hard." It's, "It is done." I don't try to pump myself up with noisy affirmations. I whisper a command that feels like the truth. I am wealthy now. Then I feel it. Relief first, ease next. Then the subtle dignity of being someone who doesn't apologize for existing. If you need one practice to take from this, take this tonight before sleep. Choose one small scene that proves to you that wealth is already yours. Something short enough to loop and rich enough to feel. Your hand sliding a bill into a tip jar without flinching. Your landlord saying, "All settled." Your own voice reading a bank number that makes your body exhale. Wear it until you forget you're wearing it. Fall asleep in it. Let the subconscious, which is the faithful servant of your feeling, do what it always does. Make the inner outer. I used to think testimonies were for other people with better luck or more photogenic lives. Now I think they're for anyone who has the nerve to treat imagination as the only reality and the tenderness to practice when no one's clapping. If my little studio, with its hissing radiator, can become a laboratory of wealth, so can your room, your bed, your breathing body. Nothing about my circumstances made me an exception. Everything about this law made me inevitable. So here is my last plain sentence, the one I carry to the pillow the way a child carries a secret under the covers. I am, and because I am, it is. I sleep in that. I wake inside the echo of it. And the world, obedient, precise, strangely kind. Keep saying it back to me in the language of paid invoices, soft fruit on counters, and emails that begin, "We'd love to work with you." And now, you have heard the law, you have walked the inner streets of wealth, you have seen what it means to live from the end fulfilled. Tonight, you did not merely listen, you entered the state. You felt what it is to be provided for, to move through life as one who has already received. And because the subconscious knows no difference between imagination and experience, it is done. The seed has been planted. The soil has been watered with vision, feeling, and faith. There is nothing left to chase, nothing left to fix. Your only task now is rest. Rest in the assurance that what you assumed within, the world must mirror without. So as you drift deeper into sleep, let your breath become the gentle rhythm of creation, inhaling, "I am," exhaling wealth. Let the body melt into ease, let the mind unclench, and let the law complete what you have begun. By the time morning comes, you will awaken in a world quietly rearranged to reflect the truth you dared to feel tonight. Doors will open, opportunities will greet you by name, and even the smallest moments, a message, a payment, a smile, will carry the signature of your new assumption, "I am wealth." And if this message has stirred something in you, if you can feel that quiet click of recognition, declare it now in the comments, so the world may hear your word. "I attract wealth." Let it be your first public assumption. Let it echo in the unseen, and watch how quickly life answers back. Sleep now, rich in faith, full in spirit, certain in truth. For what is imagined with feeling must appear. Good night, wealthy one. It is done.